Waking up at 12:14. Talk so much all night that I forget how to breathe. Making sure that you're okay. Hope it's not too hard when I reply with the light. It's been hard to dream. The story's all messed up and I don't wanna repeat. Excuses we make day and day. Please don't think that we're the same exact day. The way this is might be alright. So maybe we can say goodbye just tonight. I really don't want to fight. I'm trying my best to be polite.
And we made it. We made it. We made it. What's good? YouTube fam, Facebook fam, how y'all doing? So glad to have you here again with me. Those of you who decided to join me for this live. Have an interesting topic today. One that is always topical these days. And as you know, that has to do with COVID. We're living through some crazy times. All of us are going to be telling our kids and grandkids. Well, I guess you could say grandkids, I guess, because our kids are going through it right now with us. what it was like before 2020. What it was like before 2020. Let me go through here real quick and give some shouts to my peeps. So glad you guys are here to talk with me and support me here. Let's see here. Beautiful Lies. Shout out to El Guapo. My man is killing it in this game right now. He has a YouTube channel. And in fact, if you, I'm, solo right now. If you can, maybe if you jump in or you can let people know in the chat how to get to your YouTube channel. Beautiful Lies, El Guapo. And this goes for everybody. If you have a YouTube channel, drop it because we come up together. SPW Nola is in the house. I believe, are you a first time supporter here, sir? Did you come over from TLA maybe? Talk to me because I'm not picking up your title. Ermagerd. Ermagerd is coming through and supporting us as well. Welcome. Glad you're here. Blind Guy, his wife, their life is supporting everybody. A fixture has always been supporting from the beginning. I'm glad I can be here to give you guys any value, give you a reason to support. Thank you for coming here, hanging out with us. Irma Good is like that background though. Let me tell you about this background. This is Jacksonville. I just got a green screen up, nothing big, nothing special. But if I was gonna do a green screen, I wanted to make sure that it was something repping the city that I'm at, because chances are not too many of you maybe know streamers who are streaming out of Jacksonville, Florida. So yeah. SPW is letting me know over from TLA. Well, thank you for coming to check me out. Are you proud of yourselves? We struggle streaming right now, so I'm a little proud. I can't I can't act like I'm not proud of it right now. We got to see what's going on with you, but welcome. Glad to have you here. Okay, we're gonna have to find out what's going on. See how far you go, because we got this, we got that. It's like, okay, we're gonna find out what time it is with you real quick. So I'll be paying attention to the chat. I'm gonna jump right in and just kind of get to the topic here. We hear more and more about these stories, and many of us could have anticipated it. We hear about these stories of, these groups of people and these individuals who are at some point came out. Oh, hold on, let me get this right. Put some respect on the name. You're saying the name wrong. It's emerged. Like submerged. No worries though, my brother. I'm getting it right now. Emerged. I don't know why I did that. Emerged. If I want to find out, let's see here. I see your icon. I'm not being able to. It's small on my screen, so I'm not able to pick up the subtitle that you have under emerged. But if you get a chance, type it, type it in the chat what your channel's about. So, without getting too deep into it, we are definitely seeing more and more of these folks who, for whatever reason, are not necessarily. Hold on a minute. See, now we see it's a regular troll. Sometimes we bot them, sometimes we don't. Okay. All right. Well, be nice. If you're trolling, we know how to handle trolls. But if you be nice, if you're a nice troll, then we might let you hang out. When you're online in these YouTube streets, you got to deal with it all. Okay. And Emerged is letting us know a little bit about his channel. Appreciate that. Edify, educate, inspire. Love it. Love it all. That's, we share. We have a common purpose in all of those things. And so you're welcome here, and I'm definitely gonna subscribe to your channel after this stream and check you out, bro. Appreciate it. All right, so going right in, we have more and more of these people who are now beginning to face some harsh realities when it comes to COVID. And what I notice is that, okay, timeout is first. All right, so we're gonna give you a timeout, and then we're gonna see what happens after that. This space guy. So, we the harsh realities are beginning to catch up with those who seem to be, for whatever reason, from my perspective, not taking COVID seriously. All right. Her channel. I can't wait to get over there. I got to check you out. Okay. Her channel. I got you. Appreciate you. Thank you, though. Thank you. Don't hesitate to, check me, get me right in anything. I'm open to that. So I got it right now, hopefully. So we all good emerged. So it's beginning to catch up, and you're seeing more and more of these stories now coming out about how, someone who was an anti-vaxxer has come down, and actually caught COVID. And then, I'm sure all of you have seen some of these stories of how they will come out and say, hey, listen, you know what? I wish I had taken the vaccine because I see now that it's the real deal. This is one of those stories where, you have someone who kind of had a point of view about wearing the mask. And that one hits home because for me, wearing a mask when it comes to this is like the simplest thing that you can do to at least try to be doing something. If you don't necessarily believe in the vaccine for whatever reasons, you don't want to take it, then you can at least pull out a mask and wear it for the common good, right? That's my thinking. I'm going to open it up for everybody to talk about it. But what I wanted to do is kind of bring out one of these stories, kind of break it down and talk about it a little bit and see if there are any lessons that we can draw from what seems to be happening right now. All right, so I'm gonna jump right into it.
There've been a lot of anti-mask, anti-vaccine rallies across the country. And we also had a lot of people, unvaccinated people that have been affected by it, that have gotten sick. This particular story blends both of those together. So there was a Texas anti-masker that planned a freedom rally that would fight back against some of the COVID-19 restrictions and rules and laws and mandates that have been put in place to try and protect the general public. After that has been planned and carried out, it has been discovered that he also contracted COVID and he's very ill in the hospital, which is a very sad story. So let's go straight to this, some of these lines from Yahoo News.
Okay, so we see we're dealing with what's going on in Texas. I'm in Jacksonville, Florida. A similar thing is happening here in Jacksonville, Florida, as most of you probably know. I'm actually in Jacksonville, and right now we might be the apex. We might be like the epicenter for what's going on. We might be in terms of the entire country. It's really, the Delta variant is really prevalent here. Okay, so this is in Texas, but there are not only Florida, there's a couple other states that are dealing with it pretty bad too.
Wallace is the man that did this. He's a 30-year-old father of 3. He's been unconscious, ventilated, and heavily sedated in the ICU at Shannon Medical Center in San Angelo since August 8th. His wife set on a GoFundMe page for household and medical bills that he was intubated multiple times, had high fevers, infection, and bleeding in his chest, which sounds horrible.
All right, I'll pause it there just to say this is such a serious situation. As we know with COVID, this doesn't necessarily happen. In fact, this doesn't happen with everyone, period. JP, I see you in the house. What's happening? Kareen, I see you. Thanks for being here, everybody. Welcome. So this doesn't happen for everybody in terms of, as we know, the numbers. The vast majority of people will catch it, maybe go through a little something, and appear to be okay coming out on the other side. And then you have some other people who catch it, who are hit hard by it, extremely hard, but recover after a real fight. And then we have some people who get COVID and they don't make it. All right. And so in this case, we have someone here who's basically fighting for his life.
On that, she said, he's not doing good. It's not looking in our favor. His lungs are stiff due to the fibrosis. They called and said they've run out of options for him and asked if I would consent to do a do not resuscitate. And it would be up to us when to stop treatments. My heart just can't. I can't imagine my life without him. Now, before he got it, as I mentioned, he organized that rally, and also he'd written some letters to the school. Some of the general things a lot of these folks do, because they're looking, they're pushing their particular point of view and what they think is really happening. So in July, Caleb reportedly helped organize the Freedom Rally, an event that billed itself as a protest against the government, quote, the government being in control of our lives. He also founded the San Angelo Freedom Defenders. They also hosted a rally last year to, quote, end COVID tyranny.
Oops.
Man, and as I mentioned that letter, he wrote a letter in April to the San Angelo Independent School District which was published by a local news outlet, demanding that the school district, quote, rescind all COVID-related policies immediately. He falsely claimed that wearing masks had harmful effects on children and that there was, quote, little evidence that masks worked for anyone.
This part of the story is what really got my attention a little bit, because I had a similar thing just happen with my daughter's school. My daughters are one in elementary and one in middle school, and we had a couple cases from teachers and a student and maybe a couple students recently where they caught COVID. There was a public forum where we had a parent write in that they basically this exact same sentiment that, why are we making kids wear the mask? They don't work. And, there were some things, there were some ways that the school reacted to it that the parent didn't want to happen in terms of protecting the students, which were reasonable. But this particular person who wrote in didn't agree with any of it and was complaining about it. It had everything to do with wearing the mask. And so you see this, and sometimes you see this in a. All right, we're gonna see if this space person is creative about trying to get back in here. We'll see. Space has now been blocked. So we have this situation where sometimes you see stuff like this and it's on the news and it's really far away from you, so you don't necessarily. You wonder, man, do people really feel this way? And, yes, they really do feel this way. I have parents who send their kids to the same school as mine who feel completely differently than I do. They disagree with me about mask wearing, probably about the vaccine too. So this is what really piqued my attention here. Here you have someone who was in the same situation who in April wrote to their local school district asking or demanding that the school district rescind all COVID-related policies immediately. Okay. And claiming that wearing masks had harmful effects on children. Like I heard someone actually say that wearing masks is harmful to children if you are seeking to have them wear them in order to protect them from the spread of the virus. All right, and that there was little evidence that masks work for anyone. Okay, so that's part of what got me into this one.
So now, as I mentioned, he's in the ICU, he's been intubated, and his wife has to figure out with her 3 kids, and I think they also mentioned that she's pregnant, has to make the decision of whether or not to go forward with the do not resuscitate on her 30-year-old husband.
So lots of thoughts here. First off, we hope Caleb gets better. He has not passed away. So obviously he's not in good shape. When they ask you for a do not resuscitate order, that's as bad as it gets, right? You need a miracle to pull through here, but we hope he gets one.
Okay. I think that's classy. I don't know how many people watch TYT. This is, I think you pronounce his name, Jink. And he takes, some pretty, he takes, when he takes his stand, he makes his point. He makes a stand. But what I like here is that this is being classy about the situation. Nobody wants, even if we disagree with you on, and we, I feel like the person is dead wrong, and I can acknowledge a certain amount of, as Malcolm X once said, chickens coming home to roost in this situation. That's nothing to celebrate. We don't want people to actually have to go through what COVID will bring you through, especially something like this. So I just think it's really classy that that he's right out front, letting it be known, hey, listen, this person evidently is on their deathbed. That's the reason why I created the thumbnail the way that I did. When you have the physicians asking for a DNR, a do not resuscitate order from the family, then as Jink is saying here, that's as serious as it gets. For all intents and purposes, they feel like he is on his deathbed. This was yesterday, so we don't know how things are, but Jink is asking, hey, if a miracle is coming his way, then that's what we want to happen. That's classy. And so I just want to make a point that even when we are in this debate space about something as serious as COVID, we can still appeal and respect the humanity in each other as we disagree.
Why do we keep telling you to wear a mask and take the vaccine? Because we don't want Caleb to die. Not because we do. We don't want him to die. That's why we were trying to help you, right? So now, luckily, Jessica's wife, who my heart really goes out for, other than those kids, she didn't listen to him. She wore a mask, and that probably saved her life. So thank God for that. Otherwise, those kids might be orphans. And so now.
And this is what I mean with Jink. The way he put that in, she could have caught it, but there's no guarantee that it would have hit her as hard as it hit him. There's no guarantee that the chances say that it's really not likely that the kids could be orphans, but he's going to take it all the way to the worst case scenario in order to kind of prove his point. And he does this a lot. That to me, and he's on television. Maybe this is entertainment. Maybe he has some reasons for wanting to push it that way. That's cool. But generally speaking, I don't think we should come into debates quite as intellectually disingenuous as that. The point is, she did wear her mask. She did not get it as a result, and so she's able to kind of proceed. And it's a good thing that at least she wore her mask. And evidently took it more seriously than he did.
Now, on the other hand, Caleb helped to push these conspiracy theories, this nonsense. He didn't just endanger himself, he endangered everyone else. They all went to that dumbass rally and exposed each other to coronavirus. It exposed everyone else to coronavirus, including their families. And he was wrong. He was just,
and that's the key point for me. The whole point of it is a lot of people will center on wearing a mask to keep themselves from catching it. But the thing is with this virus, and it's really, really key, and we have to keep coming back to it. And it's really easy with the way people are sort of moving with this virus. It's easy to forget that with COVID, you can actually catch it and you can spread it without having gotten symptoms yet. All right. And you can actually catch it and spread it for days before symptoms manifest that you actually have it. And so mask wearing is extremely critical in helping to curb the spread, because you are wearing it. If you do have it, you are helping to mitigate actually spreading it without even knowing that you have it. You don't need a positive test, COVID test, to know that, okay, let me start wearing a mask now. All right. So that's part of the cultural, that's part of the community responsibility of mask wearing, that from my perspective, people should at least consider when they're thinking about wearing masks.
And by the way, when he got COVID, he didn't seek medical treatment. You know, I say on the show sometimes like, hey, if you don't believe in doctors, don't go when you get sick. But
Let me go to that.
I'm being facetious because, like, of course I want you to go save your life. Of course doctors are right?
Yeah.
And no, he didn't go to see a doctor, and instead, you know what he did?
This was a attempt. Let me go to that real fast, because it was very specific and it was very full the way he went towards it. So when he first felt the symptoms, which was on July 26th, man, it's like a month ago. His wife told the Standard Times that he refused to get tested or seek medical care. He instead began treating himself with a cocktail of vitamin C, zinc, aspirin, and ivermectin, which we've been hearing about a lot lately. Which is an anti-parasitic drug that has been falsely promoted as an effective treatment for COVID-19 by conservative media. So he was taken to the hospital
by the way,
just 4 days later after he tried that cocktail of drugs.
And that's something else that we see. Okay, that's something else that we see. Alternative media, I'll just put it like that, you know, putting out information about ways to fight it that are not endorsed by the medical professionals and the people who are educated and trained and experienced in studying it in order to put out the recommendations that we should follow. So here you have a situation where this person chose not to go to the hospital, decided to believe media from alternative sources, and we see what path that put him on.
They said conservative.
Not drugs, but
okay.
Some of it was drugs.
So shockingly, the horse dewormer didn't work. Even though Tucker Carlson, Jimmy Dore told you to take it and told you that Fauci was a monster for not suggesting it. Anyways, guys, why are you taking loads of crap that doctors tell you not to take instead of taking the thing that the doctor tells you to take?
And we can't overemphasize that point enough. We have this thing where we don't want to, there's some inherent mistrust of the establishment. And so because of the mistrust, for whatever reason, we go out of our way to listen to unestablished sources. And that can get us in trouble.
I keep saying this because I can't believe people cannot understand this clearly. It's not just America. All the doctors in the world tell you to take the vaccine. Are Indian doctors randomly lying? Are Brazilian doctors lying? Are Indonesian doctors lying? Did they get together? Did somebody write a memo? How do they control all the doctors?
These are great points right here. What he's attacking, and this is an argument. He's not literally attacking, but he's creating an argument against this notion of a broad conspiracy. How is it that how is it that we have broad agreement from doctors all over the world? And we're in the information age. All you have to do is get online and read and find the research from country by country. Doctors in every country. How is it, if this is some sort of broad conspiracy, how is it that you have doctors all over the world saying the same thing?
Are they paying all of the doctors in the world, the Russian doctors, the Estonian doctors? How did they get to them all and say, hey, tell everybody to take the vaccine and wear masks, even though it doesn't work, even though they should be taking horse dewormer? How did they do that worldwide conspiracy of doctors? Of course they're not lying. So we keep getting back to the thing of like, does it help or does it not help for us to say, snap out of it, you're being ridiculous, it's crazy to think that all the doctors in the world are lying, but you can't talk sense to them. So this guy's, in a really bad place because he didn't believe in facts.
I agree with that. I do, I wouldn't necessarily come right out and put it as in stark terms as he is saying, but I do think it's actually crazy to somehow believe that all of the established doctors all over the world are lying to you, right? I think that's a crazy notion.
Yeah, I mean, seriously, like, I mean, on the conspiracy front, like, if it was some sort of conspiracy, like, why would all the rich people want to get vaccinated first? There was a whole thing when the vaccine came out where the rich people were like all trying to get vaccinated first, especially people who work at these companies. So that's a point aside. But the situation that he's in particular, like where the doctors are asking whether or not they can put a DNR on him, that's the do not resuscitate. That like, and so I'm not a doctor, I'm not in the room with him there. I have no idea necessarily what the individual level decision factors they're using are. But when you have ICUs full, this is part of a pandemic response. When you have ICUs full, you have to start triaging care. And when you are triaging care, you have to look at your patients and you have to say, is it harder to save this patient? Is it worth it to save this patient? Can we focus on somebody else? We've got a 30-year-old who's sick, who is taking this medicine that is not for COVID, but maybe they have like a 15-year-old there. Maybe they have a 12-year-old there. Maybe somebody just got in a car accident and needs to get rushed into the room that he is in right now, right? These are very, very important factors that doctors are forced to take into consideration. And that's why you see doctors like storming out like they are in Florida protesting these anti-maskers, because it's an unbelievably difficult, sort of horrific situation where you will have decision-making power over people's lives, right? Very few people have ever been in those positions in their lives, and it's very difficult, it's traumatic, it's stressful. And when you're running around being an anti-masker and you're leading to ICUs like overflowing, you're putting doctors in a position where they have to start triaging care and start to make calculations. And so if the ICU beds weren't full, there's a decent chance that the doctors might not have asked for, hey, maybe we should put a DNR on him. That decision might have been influenced by triaging. And it's a situation that he kind of put himself into with that propaganda that he's spreading around.
Well,
Right. And so just to sort of throw something on the end of that, we see that in these places, and we've seen it before with the first wave, in these places where the virus is hitting hard, we see the hospitals fill up. We see all the ICU beds taken, and then that interferes with the normal cases where an ICU bed would be required. You know, so you mentioned things like accidents and, you know, stuff goes down. Now we've got a situation where we've got to make a decision about whether or not someone has a better or lesser chance of living or dying, because all of the ICU beds are being claimed by people who, people with COVID and fighting for their lives with COVID. All right, so it's just it forces everyone into a really, really, really more dire situation.
You know, he asked for freedom. He's got freedom. I don't know that he's enjoying it. You also have the freedom to ignore the law and not wear a seatbelt or a helmet when you're driving a motorcycle. And the pavement's not gonna care that you had freedom when your head hits it. Okay, so last thing on this. For all of your friends and family that are listening to insane people online, just ask them, why are you listening to a rando blog on Facebook as opposed to all the doctors in the world? Why do you think that rando on Facebook knows better than almost every doctor on the planet? Like he's saying, oh, I took vitamin C and zinc and aspirin. Dude, if aspirin could cure it, you think the doctors wouldn't have told you, take aspirin. Oh, look, we saved 4 million lives. Of course aspirin doesn't cure it. Oh, vitamin C, let's go have an orange. Well, that was easy to solve. Over 620,000 Americans, over 4 million dead all across the world. No, an orange isn't going to do it, but good news, the vaccine does. Almost all the people dying are unvaccinated. All you gotta do is get the vaccine. And you save your life and you're magnetic. Stop listening to idiots that are doing propaganda and conspiracy online. Listen to actual doctors and scientists. Thanks for watching.
Okay. All right, so he is making his point in very, very straight up and down black and white terms. And maybe that's the best way to make your point. Maybe sometimes you have to go to the extremes. And he ends the point about vaccinations again, and that's the other part of it. So many people are not vaccinated, and anybody can go look at the research and see that it is the unvaccinated population that right now is driving the transmission and spread of the Delta variant. All right, is running rampant in the unvaccinated population. So you got the issues of the vaccine, and you have issues with mask wearing, and you have people who don't want to do either. All right. I titled this. I brought this in for the mask wearing portion, but I suppose that if we have people who end up wanting to come on and kind of talk about it, maybe we'll end up talking about the vaccine part too. For this should hit home for everybody. It hits home for me because I have daughters who attend a school where it's actually spreading through the school right now, and nobody wants any of their relatives to catch it, and that certainly includes me. And when we have something as simple as wearing a mask when you go out, we got people saying, nope, it's a conspiracy. Doctors around the world are telling you that you need to wear a mask and you really don't. What I'll do is I'm going to drop the link for anybody if you want to join. Now, here's the thing. I definitely want to have the reason why I brought this up is because I want to have a discussion about it if someone has a different point of view than me. But as you can tell, I'm passionate about this subject. This is the second time I brought it up. My very first stream was on COVID. And in this particular case, I'm talking about it in this way because we see here we have someone, a story of someone who thought one way and caught COVID and now is in a serious situation that may have been avoided if they thought a different way about it. I think it's worth pointing out here that even if you do wear a mask, I won't worry about the vaccine part just yet. It's a different thing. But even if you do wear a mask, there's a chance that you can get COVID. So it's not like anyone is saying that if you wear a mask, you're scot-free and you're good to go. What the argument is that wearing masks do protect you and it protects others, and it helps with decreasing the opportunity for it to spread. And in this environment, we need to, of course, do everything that we can. I'm in a situation, and I think this whole country has gotten to the point now where, I think everybody's decided we're not shutting down this country again for COVID. I think this country now is at a point of saying, you know what, the show is going on no matter what. It's too many business owners, too many businesses, large and small, who cannot be placed in a situation where their business is put in jeopardy by closing everything down and making everybody stay home. So from my perspective, I can get that. I see that. And so, businesses are going to stay open, and, the economy is going to move on, and we're just going to push through. But if that's the case, then I think that it is wise and it's fair to at least encourage very, very strongly, and definitely not discourage, mask wearing by the public, especially if it's indoors, especially if it's inside. I don't see what's wrong with that. And even if in this city right now where the Delta variant is running crazy, if someone were to say mask mandate, where now you have to wear a mask, it's an actual mandate, I don't see what the problem is with that if it's for the public good. So, my point is that on that one is just that, okay, you all, the city, you can keep running, keep things open, and sort of try to proceed as if COVID is not happening, if it's not a thing. But I am in a position where I cannot act like COVID is not a thing. And my hope is that people in general would not act like it's not a thing. It actually is a thing, and it's putting people in the hospital, it's killing folks. And we need to take it seriously, because if we don't, it's going to continue to do it and likely get worse. All right, so I've copied the link. I'm going to post the link. Anybody that wants to jump in. Now, on this subject, I mentioned that I am passionate about it, and I take it seriously. So this is, most of the time, in fact, if you decide to come on, you know that I have, I've kind of let people, come in here and, speak your mind, and I definitely welcome that. But in this particular case, I am going to place an emphasis on you being able to show why you think the way that you think. All right. It's basically, some kind of receipts. If you decide that you want to say, if you want to make a comment or an argument or take a position that is counter to the one that I'm bringing. I'm ready and willing to drill down on this. What I don't want is for us to come in here and kind of just state opinions that aren't necessarily based in anything substantive, real. And then if we can bring that, if we can do that, then we're going to have a really substantive conversation that could possibly, that will be something of value to our viewers. While I'm waiting just to see, because we might have some people who don't want to touch this, who don't want to jump in, especially with how I'm telling you, I'm going to, make you bring receipts. And I'm going to take a very, very straightforward approach, very clear-minded approach to this conversation. I do have a couple questions on that. One question would be, number one, do you think that stories like this, you can even start with this story that I just showed you. Do you think that this is somehow that somebody made this up? Is this a true story or is this a lie? This story that we just watched. Is it a true story or is it a lie? And then question two would be, do you think mask wearing is effective in any way or not? Probably want to start there. For me, the lesson here is, and it's an obvious lesson, hopefully a lot of people agree with it. The obvious lesson is, hey, pay attention, this is real. I'm going to go through the comments here while we wait. I was going to play another video, but I think I'm going to wait on that. I'm going to chill on that. We'll go from, because I left a whole lot. So Karina saying it's the mutation that's the problem. Absolutely. And see, this is the thing. The mutations are going to always be the problem, Kareem. The mutations are the game. We're past this stage now where the original strain is what is going on. The mutations are coming. Right now we're on the Delta variant. If you've done any research, and I brought this up in my very first stream about the Lambda variant they're talking about, mutations are going to happen as long as we have a number of things going on. The main thing, people who are not vaccinated who get it and continue to spread it, because as you know, the more that it spreads, the more opportunity it gets to mutate. And if it does mutate into some little strain that is more resistant to what we have out now, then you've got a whole, another can of worms. And we've just got too many people who are willingly not taking the vaccine. So it's the mutation that's the problem. I agree. The mutations are going to be the problem, and they're going to continue to mutate as long as we don't get the vast majority of the population vaccinated. I'm trying to get the third shot. This is SPW. I'm full up on Pfizer, but I want I really want that Moderna now, 1 and 2. So I'm trying to get a third and fourth. I'm in Dallas. Wow. So you SPW NOLA is not playing. Like I have the Pfizer. I'm comfortable with the Pfizer. And I mean, I'm comfortable right now without even having the third shot right now. Because everything I'm reading here lately is that that it's holding up well. I know coworkers healthy that got it May, and she took months to get better. Thank God she's improving. Be careful. Everyone's health as well. Absolutely. And we would hope that people would want to, always like protect their health at all costs. You don't want to go overboard with it, but blind guy, how do we know this guy who's fighting for his life wasn't targeted? Okay, so we can bring up, so here we go. Critical thinking. We can ask questions like that, blind guy, but how do we know that they were targeted? Like we can bring up all kind. If you want to ask a question like that, then my expectation would be for you to bring up something that somehow suggests that this person was targeted. Otherwise, you're fishing. We're coming up with any theoretical, which evidently to try to support some point of view that you have that is counter to the main narrative. Anybody can do that. If we're going to have a fact-based conversation, then that conversation isn't served by just coming up with hypotheticals for us to waste time on. Now, if you have something that's saying, hey, this person's life was targeted, let me show you some things here, then now you kind of have a leg to stand on. But, what is there to suggest that this person's life was targeted? Black people, we need to protect ourselves and be safe. Do what you do. White, do what you do. I hear you. For me, I really do feel like we're a community of one on this one, and I want everybody to protect ourselves and be safe. This is one of those things that it crosses all the cultural boundaries, so to speak. If one culture somewhere, even in some other part of the world, which is how this happened. This started in Wuhan, China. At least that's the prevailing thought. And if that doesn't prove that, it can start somewhere and then spread all over, at least this particular one, then I'm not sure what can. All right, so true. What's the solution? Getting our youth to value their health. And I see I got blind guy driving, and so and she's in the bag. I want to bring her up, but you were driving last time you jumped on here about COVID, and so I'm just telling you now. I want to hear you, but I'm not gonna let you kind of say stuff without being able to back it up like this last time, like you did last time. Oh, okay. Nothing on the channel yet. Just letting us know about your channel. Okay, emerged. All good. Like most started, gave up, delete the vids. I do self-awareness posts on Instagram. Thank you for giving us the extra push. I was given an extra push. Let me give a shout out to TLA because I wouldn't even be here doing this without the lead attorney and his really pushing, saying, hey, when you're going to do it, I feel like you have some things that, could serve the community. And so, yeah, let us push you, especially when you know that you're bringing a perspective that can be insightful. I'm just going down. Medical apartheid. So absolutely. And see, this is the thing. This is where information can get us. This is when we have to make sure that we use critical thinking when it comes to information. We are aware, those of us who've studied it, that there is such a thing as medical apartheid. And there's some things, of course, that we know in history that happened, which would lead us to be distrustful of many elements of the medical establishment as well as the governments in general. But we have to use critical thinking. We have to then not just rest on that. We've got to apply what we know from studying this outside of those outside of that information, or in addition to that information, to then factor it in and then ask ourselves, is this a candidate? Is this a likely candidate, or is this something else that's going on? because what people don't know about me is that I'm a conspiracy theorist myself. And I have, I'm guilty of putting things together sometimes, drawing connections where they might not necessarily be them. And so I make sure that I check myself and my thinking before I take a stand on something, because I know that I have that predisposition. All right. And so yeah, I'm seeing here blind guys and I'm setting this up for you to bring you on, blind guy, because I see you making a case here. The world is smaller. Yes, doctors around the world can be coerced through an in-service. As a nurse, I saw it all the time. Doctors are often influenced by pharmaceutical reps. Absolutely. And I feel like that's I'm going to let you come in and probably talk about this a little bit more. And this is a good point. But what we're talking about, there's a difference between pharmaceutical reps pushing a product for, something, whatever it is that, is going to be a cure for something or to alleviate something, and an epidemic that is clearly spreading all over the world and killing people. And it's, an extremely contagious epidemic, the most contagious that we've seen in 100 years. The last one was that I forget the name of it, the flu of 2008, Spanish flu. I think that's what it was called, even though I don't think it was Spanish. So anyway, going through here. Medical apartheid is the title of the book, describing actual medical apartheid against people. I feel you 100%. We can look into it, and I know it's out there and possible, but again, we have to apply critical thinking before we just say, oh, there's such a thing as medical apartheid. That's what this is. And so now I'm going to distrust the science, the clear science. Let's see. Had we locked down for 3 to 4 weeks and kept everyone out, we would have been all right. That's what SPW has to say. I say no to mask wearing personally. If you have to, make sure it's an N95 mask. I hear you. I'd love to hear, maybe you don't want to come on, Ricky, but I'd love to hear why you say no to it personally. Let's see. JP, how long do those antibodies last? Is it like chickenpox or strep where you can be a carrier but not get it anymore? I'm getting caught up. I'm getting ready to come and bring you up now, blind guy. Emerged is afraid to get the vaccine. I'm doing my due diligence to maintain my health and overall wellness. I do believe in wearing the mask for my protection and others. I was afraid of it too. I did enough research to satisfy my fears. And so, of course, that's why I ended up getting the Pfizer. Frank, what is your Cash App? Thank you for asking. It's always, I take it as it's a huge compliment and show of support when people want to support the show financially, because you get value from it and you want to support a brother. And I am just jumping out, and so I just put the information at the bottom of the screen. It's scrolling, and I appreciate you tremendously for asking that. And that just kind of reminds me, because right now we diving in, and I won't even mention anything about ways to financially support the show. Ricky, where's my manners? Hello, everyone. Mucho gusto, Spanish. And then I can't even pretend to act like I know how to pronounce that, which is Polish. Missy T, full of joy. Great to see you, JP. And then we have Unique. All right, very good. So blind guy, his wife and their wife has been very, very patient with me, and she definitely has a point of view. And I definitely want to let you know that I'm definitely going to be respectful to your point of view. But this is one of those things where how I stand on it, and I think the approach that I want to have too. So I want to hear what you have to say, blind guy. Respect and props to you. What you got?
Yes. Hi, Frank. How are you today? Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I hear you very clearly.
All right, because I'm driving and I have the phone on this holster down here, but just wanted to make sure you can hear me fine, because I did send you a couple of emails before I came on here. I pulled over just to come with receipts. And
Okay.
Keep in mind that these aren't like all the receipts. There's one particular video that I was looking for where there's a team of doctors that are in a whole organization that working towards the truth of the matter, which is what exactly can you do in these situations? The truth about the antibodies, like what JP was just asking about, and just that, yeah, you have antibodies, but it's just like the cold in this particular case. We still have the common cold. No matter what, it keeps coming back. It keeps getting us, and people get down and all of those things. So that's just referring to antibodies, that statement. So I couldn't find that one, and my reception might go out because of where I'm driving to, and I'm almost at my destination where it gets pretty bad in about 2 minutes. So
Okay.
hopefully I can stay on. But I did
Okay.
want to speak to the fact that this is where watching some of these international channels, I'm breaking up.
No, no, you're good. Keep going.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So when I always say, like, watch the African YouTubers. You're already on YouTube. Watch them too. So when you watch, you hear some of the same antics that are happening here in the States. Leaders being coerced. So yeah, this is why the whole world can be paid. This is why, yes, the whole world can be under the same influence. And so for anyone that is um, familiar with those uh, whistleblower scams and whatnot, I'll just speak to Edward Snowden specifically, right? If you're familiar with him and the way information was disseminated, um, you find out that, oh, so all of these diplomats and different people that have perished in airplane crashes and crashes of any kind, this is this is part of it. There was a video that was out uh, recently enough, and that's another one where they were discussing people uh, disappearing, so to speak, having accidents if they don't agree to loans, if they don't agree to terms. Not individuals at the payday loan place, but leaders from the banks, the major banks of the world and whatnot. So that I just say that in response to, can the whole world be coerced? Are all of these doctors wrong? Well, if you've ever worked in the medical field, I've been in there 25 years deep, like actually working in surgery, in doctor's office, private duty, working closely with folks, and then you start to see some of the same things, which is that everybody's sort of like a peg, a cog in a wheel, kind of doing their part. And the doctors are not the heroes. They're not the ones in the know. They're not the ones doing the research or, making sure they stay on the revolutionary information. They get their information in an in service from whoever above them gave the information, however it was given above them. They take that information and that's their new information. Oh, okay, this information is certified from this agency. All right, that's what we're all doing now. So to say that, I think we're giving doctors a lot more credit right there. But definitely check out those two videos. I don't know that you just want to play them per se, but I do know that the one is it's a news episode, and like the first 10 seconds of that video kind of says something that I can't say because I would just sound like I'm just spewing stuff.
Hmm.
This guy, he's on the news, he's giving a report based on the statistics and everything that the airlines are now saying, if you got the shot, don't fly. Why? Because you were given the variant. So if you were given something, of course you're going to spread it. But that part is not widely spoken about. Nobody's saying that. So, and then the other video is just sort of like a silly video where this guy is discussing, he's pretending like he's taking a phone call, and it's sort of like a spoof. And what he's saying is that, okay, so whether or not I wear my mask or take the shot or stay indoors or not, nothing changes. I can still get it. I can still give it. I can still get sick. I could still stay alive. I could still perish. Um, like it's the conundrum of what exactly is going on. So that's what I have right now.
Okay. All right. Well, let's see then. Because you definitely threw a number of things in. What I'm going to do is go to your email. And are you saying that you want me to actually play? I'm going to take a look at this first one here, the one you titled "People Who Have the Shot and Are Advised Not to Fly." I see the page. Well, that takes me actually to your page. Hold on a minute. Let me go see if I can do the link. Did you include the link?
So it should be an attachment because the way I shared it, I tried to make sure it
MP4.
was.
Okay, I
Yes,
see it.
yes.
Yes.
So I think
How
that
long is
first
it?
one is safe. I think that first one, I don't know, but what I'm saying is you can always play like 15 seconds and you might, and not that you want to cut it short and miss any information, but you could always play like
No, I'm
15
going to
seconds
play
of
it.
it.
No, yeah,
Oh,
it's a 2-minute one. I see it here now, and you brought it on. I see it is a news cast of some sort. So hey, let's play it. Let's see what we got here and what we think about it.
okay.
It's in my downloads.
I'm trying to make sure that people that got out are getting in to where they're supposed to go.
Okay. Yeah. If we lose you, I'll type. I don't, because you said you're in a bad place for
I'm
reception.
here. I'm here now, so I don't know what it's gonna do. We'll see.
Okay, guys, we're gonna go in and let's see what this is. Video file. Going to my downloads and. All right, I'm bringing it up
Another
now.
inconvenient truth. In other parts of the world, airlines are now advising people who have been vaccinated not to fly. Yep, you heard me correctly. Airlines in Spain and Russia are warning people who have been vaccinated against coronavirus not to travel because of the risk of blood clots. Now, this is a well-known risk of long-haul flights, but apparently it's exacerbated by the potential side effects, the clotting side effects of the COVID-19 vaccines.
Okay, so do you want me to keep going on that, or do you want me to stop there? Because we can. In fact, I want to talk about that, the whole blood clotting issue.
Right. We can stop. We can start. It doesn't
All right,
matter. I know that, certain, they were like, oh, we found out these cause blood clots, so we changed the formula or what have you. And honestly, my just so that you know, my whole take here is that I don't believe that it's the shot that's going to save everyone. I strongly believe it is us doing better with our overall health. And that's the part that instead of them selling that, they're only selling this is the cure. This is the cure because it's been pretty haphazard. And I say that from having taken care of people that have had COVID, having had it myself, and I've had experience with it. And it's like, I wouldn't say it's a 50-50 situation, but it's also there are so many variables and it's being presented as not by you, by mainstream media. It's being presented that there are, if you have underlying conditions, that's part of the issue. There it's being just presented as we don't know which way it could go. It could go this way or that way. What it's not being presented as is that you may actually have this thing, whatever this thing is, C19, COVID-19, whatever. You may not. But at the same time, you may have other complications. Like when they said this guy who's fighting for his life was having bleeding in his chest, we don't know if that was from malpractice. For example, having worked with patients with trachs and has been intubated, when you get intubated, they put a trach in. Mistakes happen. And what happens is when I say mistakes happen, nurses, if they just don't know, they're unfamiliar with something, yes, there can be a bleed, there can be an injury to the client, and it's not going to be presented or charted as, oh, there was a mistake. It's going to be presented as what we now see. When they teach us to chart, they teach us to chart symptoms. They don't teach us to chart accountability. Like I slipped up and dropped this and now this person has an infection. Nope. We just chart, the symptoms of the infection. So I'm saying all of that to say that we don't know that all of the things that are happening with him, like they say words like fibrosis now and the lungs are stiff and all of this, as if COVID is the reason for these things, this sequence of events, when it may or may not be. But I'll stop there.
All right. So yeah, so this is part of what just happened here was with your explanation is part of what I think we need to make sure that we take the time to critically think about everything that's being said. All right. So I started out wanting to talk about what you sent to me as a suggestion for, one of the things here for reasons of why not to fly. And what's happening is what I find is that, and this is respectfully, you're throwing a whole lot of various information, which all clouds the issue. And
Right.
what I'm trying to do is cut through one by one and help everybody think clearly about what we're dealing with issue by issue. And to me, that's how you can arrive at some semblance of truth. Whether or not you get there all the way, at least you know that you've run down every rabbit hole. And so in this particular case, like you said a lot there that I want to respond to, but I want to go in order from what we decided to do. When you first brought up this issue with people advising people not to travel, you didn't bring up anything about the whole blood clot issue. And maybe that's something that's somewhere later in here, but we'll see. So the first thing that comes out of this person's mouth has to do with advising people not to fly because of the blood clot issue.
Well,
And
the blood clots are a result of the vaccine. I don't know which vaccine it is that they've taken, but that's what he just said in that report.
Correct. And so we have to then dive into what is the actual risk of the blood clots. Everybody probably heard about the fact that with the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, and I'm looking at it right now, and I think even the AstraZeneca vaccine, what they found was, because of the formulation, a really small chance of blood clots. And so what is that chance? I'm going to read it here. This is being answered by, I'm just online getting this from the cedars.sinai.org, which I have to look it up. All right, blood clots are rightfully so a scary thing, but fortunately they're a rare occurrence. I'm not going to say his name right. Blood clots are rightfully so a scary thing. Vaccine-linked blood clots are extremely infrequent. With the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, the CDC reports seeing thrombosis, which I guess is what blood clot is called, thrombosis with whatever that word is, syndrome.
What is that? Spell it.
Thrombocytopenia. Thrombocytopenia syndrome at a rate of about 7 cases per 1 million vaccinated women between the ages of 18 and 49 years old. The blood clotting condition is even more rare in women over the age of 50. So that's 7 cases in a million. So that's like, let's like saying, you have a 1 in a million chance of something happening to you. Okay, 7 in a million chance. And they're saying that the blood clot condition is even more rare in women over the age of 50. The side effect has only been observed in the Johnson & Johnson vaccine in the US. And this doctor points out that causality has not been established. COVID-19 vaccines are still being studied. And then it's giving you some advice on what to do if you experience an unusual reaction after the vaccination. So my response here is that what appears likely to be here in Spain and Russia is that, I guess, given whichever, because there's no clot issue, there's no blood clotting issue with the Pfizer and the Moderna in terms of studies that I've seen. But apparently they are going to advise you with an exceeding amount of caution that if you've gotten maybe the Johnson & Johnson or maybe the AstraZeneca, then, hey, we're advising you not to fly. because we have found that there's an extremely rare chance of a blood clotting issue happening with that, with those two. So for me, that is an issue that, first of all, is operating out of an abundance of caution. And it's an extremely rare issue to begin with. But for me, that does not decrease the efficacy of the vaccine in terms of what it was meant to do. And it certainly, I don't know if I heard you right. It seems like when you said this originally, you said that what was said in this story is that the
I think I got
vaccine
it
was
wrong.
giving people, maybe,
For this
giving
one, you know
people.
what? No. That's a different video. I've seen that as well. That's not, it might not be in this particular video, but absolutely that if you got the vaccine, those people are spreading it faster. And that is on the physicians committee.
Okay.
I know
Well,
on their
you're gonna have to
channel,
bring
but
receipts because I'll let
yeah,
you.
I'll have to
Yeah.
look that one up.
All right. So this is what I'm talking about. So, it's really easy to come in and make a comment that you're not backing up with receipts, because for me, what that does is complicate the issue. Now, you are obviously convinced about it, but because you're convinced about it, you are right now on this chat saying, hey, they were advising people not to fly planes because they were actually giving it to people, and that's helping to spread it.
I know. And then I sent you the video, the wrong video for that particular statement. My apologies.
Okay, no worries.
Yep.
So this is serious. This is so serious that we need to be really, really careful about the information that we put out, because people are easily influenced. And so
I think
here,
that's the
go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, I think that's the point I want to make too, is that there's so much information out here. There's known information, there's unknown information, depending on your field of profession, your field of interest. So for some people, like you're saying, this is a field of interest for you that you've been studying, and you've been getting a lot of information from different places that other people that haven't studied at all, they don't know. And the middle ground, for me, the uh the baseline of all of this is the point of confusion. Like that's where most of us are, because we have the information that you've gotten, the information that I have, and in the middle, what we just have is, well, I heard, well, I have a lot of questions about this. And even when we present information and dissect it, we still don't have, okay, so if I have a cold, do I other than taking a shot, what else do I do? Is there another way? Are there other ways to help me? And I say this because of the way that this particular broadcast started with, this guy is an anti-masker and now he's on his deathbed. And it's like, okay, so what else is involved though? What are the variables? It sounds like so far the argument has just been, had he worn a mask? And then of course in that particular video that you just showed, oh, and I've seen the exact opposite. So when I get off here, I have to email you those videos that, oh, these don't work. This concoction of zinc, vitamin D, and zinc, vitamin C, and vitamin D and vitamin C. And so I can send you the videos where it says these cocktails absolutely work. It's on the Physicians Committee YouTube channel, those particular videos. And it's not like an underground YouTube channel. It's a team of doctors that are not a private set. They're just, a regular set of doctors producing every day. So I'll definitely send that one as well.
And I expect I've seen those, and I've done my own research on those. And this is why something like this is a good thing to really go in and have a little bit of collaborative thinking on stuff that we watch critically. As you know, you're talking to a filmmaker. And one of the things that, I have an MFA in filmmaking, and I've done, I understand how to tell a story. And I understand the effectiveness of certain storytelling techniques. And I understand things like propaganda, and I can spot it as soon as I see it. And there are some things about the information and this storytelling that I can watch with you and tell you immediately that certain things aren't adding up. And then we can always go in and sort of empirically, critically think about everything that we see. So that's why part of the reason why I didn't want to necessarily go too deep into the vaccination side,
Yeah.
and really focused on this mask wearing side.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
and
See, I thought you were focusing on the vaccine at this point.
no, I mean, we can talk about, I said, we can, the conversation can kind of go where it wants to go. But when we, again, for me, the reason why I have this channel is because I don't want to obfuscate issues. I want clarity on issues. And in order to have clarity on any
Yeah.
issue, you have to proceed one issue at a time. You can't come in, generally speaking. If this is just going to be a kind of a channel where people just get together and talk, and I think this and I think that, and I think this is what I think, without having to bring the receipts and think critically about what you're saying and show it to everybody and process it, then that's one type of channel. But that's not the kind of channel I want to run. The kind of channel I
Right.
want to run is a channel that when people leave here, they're not more confused about a given subject.
Right.
They have clarity about a given subject. And so in order for that to happen, for me, I have to help people apply critical thinking, because that's how I think about things. So in order to do that, we go one subject at a time, which is why I started with the mask, and I kind of invited, if things kind of go with the vaccines, cool. But right now, what I want to do is take the opportunity to pivot back to the mask wearing. I don't want this to be a situation where we have these people who are kind of looking, and saying, okay, well, what kind of conclusions, how am I better after having watched your stream? And so
Right.
for me, this is where I want to take us back to where, the whole mask wearing thing. I guess my question for you is, since you're here, do
Sure.
you think that mask wearing is effective at all, or
Oh yeah, it's definitely effective against like plenty. Like, of course, the common cold was down this year. Nope,
Mhm,
you didn't hear a lot about the pneumonia or the flu,
mhm,
because people aren't in each other's face giving each other something. And I say this from, just from the news reports, definitely they were happy to report those things. So it's definitely effective against you spreading anything, not
anything.
anything, but you know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
it just
yeah.
reduces a lot of stuff. Like the
Mhm.
nasty people that used to be out, and I shouldn't say nasty, the people that didn't cover their mouth that have not been covering their mouth, and we've been wishing they would. Now we don't have to worry about them, you know. And
Mhm,
so definitely mask wearing is effective.
mhm.
And I guess at this point, that's it. Like it's effective. I know that's what
Okay.
your question was, so I'll stop
Yeah, it
right
was.
there.
Okay. So what I'm doing now is, how I did last time, and I'm actually going to take us here. I don't know if you were here with me last time when I did this,
I don't
but
know.
I'm going to show
Uh-oh.
you now. Yeah.
Then
No,
that.
it's all good. It's all good. It's all good. Okay, check this out. All right, can you see that?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
All right. So what I'm doing is I'm hoping to pull away key points.
Mm-hmm.
And so right now, you and I agree that mask wearing is effective when it comes to helping to limit or inhibit the transmission of COVID. You've mentioned other things too, but I'm speaking specifically about COVID. Do you agree with me on that, or no?
I agree with you on that one. Can I ask you a
Mhm.
question? Because I want a key point on there too.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So my question for you is, do you believe or do you agree that improving your immune system is effective?
Against
Do you
COVID?
against COVID?
I don't.
You don't.
Mm-mm.
And
I
so
don't.
go
And this
ahead.
is why, because it sounds like you're wondering, well, why do you think that? Improving your music, how could you think that, Frank? Because COVID, from what we have seen and what I've read in terms of how COVID is transmitted, um, we have not encountered an immune system that somehow naturally is resistant to COVID.
Well, I didn't say cure. I didn't say
Cool.
cure. Like, do
Not
you
cure,
do?
like, as in
And so,
resistant, and meaning you have. Okay, so let me ask you a question again. I want to make sure I get it right.
okay.
Go ahead.
Oh, I thought you said you were gonna, I thought you said, let me ask the question, like you were gonna clarify it. So I
Yeah, no.
guess, I'll clarify it. Do you believe that, improving your immune system, uh, improves your ability to recover from, um, and not necessarily resist, because you can catch it. Again, people who have it are
Mhm,
carriers, but they're walking around asymptomatic, you know. So that's the reason
mhm.
why I'm asking that. Like, do you believe that boosting, because that's my angle for this particular situation, and a lot of other ones, chronic illnesses included, that just improving your immune system will improve uh, your experience with a lot of things. If not, just help you uh, keep from, I guess, becoming ill or becoming incapacitated to anything. And I'm talking about, like I said, most things.
Well, yeah,
But
I want to talk
but
about COVID.
in this case, no, no, no.
Right.
What I mean is that that's my belief that your immune system can help you with most things. So my question is the same thing with COVID. Do you believe that having a better immune system can improve your chances of recovering from, sustaining, having a less severe experience with any of those, either of those three things, I guess.
So my belief is based on the information that I've come across. And so my belief is I have not come across anything that shows me somehow in any clear um, way that someone who has this incredible, perfectly functioning immune system cannot still succumb in the exact same way and have to fight through the same way that anybody else would have to fight through COVID. Yeah, I think that from a common sense perspective, we all want to have a great immune system. And
Yeah,
so for me, that question is more of a common sense. Like that's the kind of thing that, like, to me, a similar question you could have asked me is, do you think that washing your hands could help you with, spreading germs and, decreasing sickness by having clean hands or, having a clean bathroom or these? The answer to me, like common sense says
it's
absolutely
not
no.
common sense. Let me tell you why
Well,
it's not
wait,
common
let me
sense.
wait, hold on. Let me want to get this completely out.
Yeah,
So for me, it's what I'm saying is it's a very, very fundamental thing that people I think should seek to have healthy immune systems. It's a fundamental thing that people should seek to be in a clean environment. To me, those fundamental things do not speak directly to the issue that COVID
hmm,
brings to the table. What COVID brings to the table is a highly transmittable, transmissive virus that is 10 times as deadly as the flu and going around emphasizing healthy immune systems from my perspective is not the best way to talk about how we handle that. Like that should be point 4 or 5. Point 1 needs to be get the vaccine. Point 2 needs to be wear a mask. Point 3 needs to be like if you had the hierarchy up, put these in sort of a priority. There's some things that we need to be talking about before we get down to okay, yeah, and by the way, let's make sure that your immune system. That's how I see it. Let's make sure that you
yeah,
have a healthy immune system.
yeah. And I would put those in completely different orders based on my information and my experience, and not my belief system, but what I know. And so I guess when I was saying it's not common sense is because I had this conversation with someone who I'm like, wow, you are a mature adult, like in her 40s, almost 50. She's educated, a life learner. She got degrees, and she believes that your immune system has nothing to do with it's irrelevant.
Well,
It's
that's not what I
irrelevant
believe. So I don't want to
for
talk about with somebody else.
no, no, no.
Honestly,
What I'm
just not to
saying is
cut you
that
out.
it's not common sense. That's why I'm saying like it's not fundamental to everybody.
Okay,
And that's the part
I'm
of
gonna
the
grant
reason
you that. To me, that's
that's why
irrelevant. To me, I want
that's
to
why
get
I'm
to the
adding it to
point.
this conversation because we might have those viewers that might think like her, like, what are they talking about? That's not even on the table anywhere in the top 5. At least you put it in the top 4. We
Okay,
have
so
people out
let's
here that So I know we want to stick to the topic of the mask
Yeah.
wearing,
Well,
and
not that, but just so sounds like you're saying that there is something more effective that
oh
we
yeah,
need to be considering
absolutely.
than mask wearing and the vaccine. You're saying that the immune system is where we need to be starting as like everybody. Forget the don't worry if we did the immune system stuff first, then we won't have to worry about the vaccine and we don't have to worry about the mask. Is that what you're saying?
I would,
Apart,
yeah, I would definitely put the shot down there at like number three. And I say
okay.
that from the
So
perspective,
my
from the pers-
question is,
go
what do
ahead.
you have to back that up? Because this is what you're doing. You're sitting in your car right now and you're
Nope,
making a
I
very
can, okay,
declarative.
so I'm gonna pause and I'm gonna send you the video. I'm gonna come back with the video.
Okay, there you
That's all
go.
I can do. Because
Okay,
that's what I was saying. Like I got the ones that say it, and I can
okay.
tell you what channel they're on. And if you want to search it now, go to Physicians Committee channel and type in COVID vaccine, and all of the videos come up because they
All right,
cover this quite a bit.
I can do that. You said it's physicians committee.
Yes, Physicians Committee. There's a blue circle that says Physicians Committee, and then Dr. Barnard. He has a medical center in DC, Washington, DC. So I'm sure one of his
Hmm.
videos will be up there. But if you just put in that channel and COVID-19, they have been discussing it from the start.
I'm
As
shaking my
far
head because I believe and I'm going to go to it. But if is this that same committee? You tell me if it's not that sort of made their announcement in front of um it was in DC if I'm not mistaken, or maybe Philly. It was in front of some building where they came out and they had this whole kind of press conference letting people know. Is this the same committee or is this a different committee? Or
I
do you know
don't
what I'm talking about?
know, like
You
I
know.
mean that yeah, that doesn't sound familiar as far
Okay.
as they are. Let me say this, they are based in Washington, DC, but
Hmm.
they don't rally like or make announcements or what do you mean? Like
I'll look. Okay, I
their
could be
main
mixing
goal
them
is
up.
nutrition, and so they talk about nutrition being a low point for most of us because that's not what the media gives us. And
Hmm.
so, but that it's people have reversed a lot of different things, and people with this particular situation have been um, they fared better, they
We go,
survived better,
well,
and
we're
so that
going there. So I want you to show me which video
okay.
you want me to watch. Want
Did
us
you
to watch.
search did you search the channel for COVID-19, and then I can tell you
Oh,
like if you put in
I'm on the physicians committee. So you want me to do a COVID-19 here
no,
on
no,
this?
what I'm saying is you have put into YouTube Physicians Committee
Yeah.
COVID-19. Like
Okay.
put those four words together, and then only the COVID-19 episodes or episodes that involved COVID-19, only those episodes will come up.
All right. You see it?
Oh yeah.
All right. Now let me know which one we should watch.
Uh, Click on the first one that says COVID-19 update with that purple thing and the guy with the mask on. No, the one below it.
This one? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Streamed 9 months ago. All right. I'll click it.
So that was in the thick of things. And you can probably scrub through so that if you see a chart on the screen, that's where they're showing statistics because they do work off of statistical data. They
All
don't
right.
just work off of the cases in their offices.
Okay. So this is why I am here. I am here because you made an assertion that boosting our immune system should be ranked higher than mask wearing and vaccinations. This is why I'm here. So my intention here is to try to find something that someone says that backs up this claim that you just made to me. All right. So
Uh-oh.
this is, and I love you, respect you. So this is when we have to learn together. I need to understand why you're saying what you're saying. So right now, instead of you bringing the receipts because of this situation, you making me look up the receipts, and that's cool. I'm here to participate, but I'm gonna need, if you're saying that it's gonna be in one of these videos somewhere, and I don't want to waste everybody's time. I
Right.
need to know where to look.
Well, that's where I was saying if you scrub through the video and see a chart, like they usually bring up charts
All right.
somewhere.
So I'm going here with you. Here's one chart. You're watching it with me. I want you to guide me where you think I need to go.
Start right there. That's Dr. Barnard.
Okay.
So start. Let's see what he's saying.
All right. I might have to rephrase that. You can't hear him, right?
Correct. Did you
Okay.
unmute it?
I'm up. No. Here we go.
We can hear it now,
Okay.
It's going to take them a long time.
but it's soft.
For comparatively long time. It's a challenging thing to store. It has to be stored at very cold temperatures. You have to have two, not one, but two shots of it. Nonetheless, this is all doable, and it's certainly going to happen. But on the heels of that, Moderna.
So he's breaking down the different vaccines at this point.
Mm.
All right. So what I'm doing is I'm going to look for context clues that somehow can show us somehow this importance of the immune system. Because
Okay,
right
let's
now,
read it.
okay.
Prevent infections, masks,
Yep.
distract, and
Yep.
you had masks at the top too. So
Yep.
he's with you.
The coronavirus.
All right.
So
So
even-
right. So
Prevent
yeah,
infections was first though. Prevent
that's right.
infections.
Right. Right. So he's agreeing with me right now. He's not agreeing with
No,
you.
prevent infections was right before masks. He agrees with me, and then you're second.
No,
Masks, distancing,
Okay.
hygiene.
we do have to prevent infection. That means masks. It means distancing. It means hygiene.
That's the first thing out of his mouth.
Dang. Okay. Score one for you. Keep going.
All right.
Number two, we should really just be closing down the slaughterhouses and the other viral hotspots. We did it before. We can do it again. If anything, it will help all aspects of human health. Third, we do need to fast track vaccine production and distribution. That has
You're
happened.
making me look bad. Ooh.
this is what critical thinking. I'm not trying to. And this
I'm
is
making me
something
look
that-
bad. Okay, wait. Go to the other video. Go to the other video. Keep
Wait,
going.
wait,
Keep going.
I
No, keep
will
going. Let's see. I
I
know.
can
Keep
see
going.
it.
Keep going. Keep going.
You
Because
want
I
to play
think.
it?
Yeah. Let me tell you why. Because
Okay.
this is the order that you were saying, and you were like, I think immune needs to be on number 4. And look, it's about to be number 4. I hope. Keep going.
All right. Let's see.
This ain't what they talk about on their channel. They making me look bad. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Let's see. Let's just watch it together.
Ones available because the current ones may not last against mutated viruses. We'll just have to see. We do have to address underlying conditions, and this is where I hate to say it, but every country, including the United States, has completely dropped the ball. We know that a person with diabetes has several-fold higher risk of dying of COVID-19 compared to the person who doesn't. But you would think that would mean we would be using nutrition, medical care as needed, get your prescriptions up to date. There has really been no attention to that whatsoever, apart from what we have been doing at the Physicians Committee. And then finally, we need to prevent what's called viral reassortment, making the new viruses. And if we ban the live markets and intensive animal farming, we've got a good shot at doing exactly that.
Oh, okay. So maybe we can pause here. It's up to you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's a good place because it sounds like he said nutrition finally at number 4. You know,
Mhm. Yep.
and
To me, that would be appropriate simply because, I mean, it is important. If we don't want to ignore it, we can't, in a way, he's sort of saying here, hey, we can't do all these other things and then just expect to have healthy immune systems by eating potato chips and drinking sodas and, not eating healthy things. And I'm sure that is where you are because you hype that 100%, you're completely all about proper nutrition.
And don't get me wrong, I drink sodas and I eat French fries. just-
in
you know what I mean?
moderation, you don't live off of it.
Right. That's
we know
true.
we
And
have whole populations that, as you know this, who their idea of breakfast, lunch, and dinner is McDonald's breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and that they will go what we having for dinner. We're about to go get a Big Mac and some fries, and
Yep.
that's dinner. Let's go to Zaxby's or whatever. So
Yeah, and because they sat down somewhere, they think it's food. And that's a lot of where my angle comes from. And I
Mhm.
will say that I encourage anybody watching to comb through these videos on this particular channel because this is what we don't get the balance of. okay, a mask and this and that. Like he
Mhm.
named a list of things, and coming from a physician, he's not the only one. There are other physicians that come on. People ask questions. It's not always just the doctors talking.
Mhm.
And so this is where I was saying, because I got to try to get a point in here, and I need a key point on that chart somehow. But
Go for it. Go
right,
for it.
right. So yeah, so that's where this is where, the confusion in the middle is what I was saying. Like the confusion is what keeps us all like, man, I don't know what to do. I'm scared to get it. But on this side over here, I also, like Unique View said, who can you really trust? So then you
Mhm.
have all of these people in the middle. You know what I mean?
Mhm. Yes.
And so that's where I'm like, okay, but guys, while we're confused about whether or not we're going to wear a mask or not, what they're doing is taking martyrs and putting a big article about this person that one minute he's holding a rally, the next minute he's fighting for his life, whereas there are so many other people that have caught this and survived, and they were people that were, yeah, and bodysuits will be next, right? They were people, there are people out here that were sick. Like I know people that already had a whole bunch of other stuff going on with them, had a limp to go with the chronic, like they had the physical, they were internal stuff. They caught the
Mhm.
thing, sat alone in their home, and somehow they survived, you know. And so
Yeah.
that's where I'm saying we just have to at least show sources of where folks can get information for solutions. Okay, we say wear a mask. Some people don't want to. And you're
Mhm.
saying, well, what else can we do? Hey, other than, it's not even common sense for everybody to wash their hands or boost their immune system. So that's
Mhm.
where we are.
Do that. Right. Do that too. I feel you. We definitely listen. So as you know this anyway, blind guy, you know this anyway. This isn't about prove somebody right or wrong. This is about
Right.
a collaborative. Let's explore why we think the way that we think or feel the way that we feel, and let's see if it adds up with us. That's all this is about. So
Yes.
if that we would have went there and some other things, we would have just had something else. If it wouldn't have not necessarily supported what I had to say, then we would have seen where that took us.
Mm-hmm.
So and that's the thing that I'm hoping everybody will at least take the time to do with this. I think we agree about the mass, and so I hope that to be a takeaway. If there's some other takeaways that I need to put up here, in fact, let me do that now because you
Can
did
I
mention.
get my nutrition, at least number
Yeah,
3?
yeah. Let me
Okay,
put that
so
on.
so you know what though? One thing that
Mm-hmm.
you and I both agreed on was hygiene. So can we
Yes, I
please
did.
add hygiene there? And the reason why I say that is because I'm not gonna talk about Corey. I'm just gonna talk about some men in my life. Okay.
Okay.
I've
Okay.
seen I've seen how they wash their hands. And this is the reason why I say this. Since my husband can't see, I go to a lot of public bathrooms, right? And the men don't care if the women come in, but typically I'm just kind of showing him in so that, and then I'll say, oh, go straight, and then there's a urinal on the right, or there's an empty one on the left, or whatever. So what I see a lot of is those men like rinsing or not, or just walking out. So that's why I'm saying, let's put hygiene, because me and you both agree on that
Mm-hmm.
it's the common sense that just ain't so common.
Okay. I'm putting down. I'm typing up, and I'm gonna go show it in just a minute. Maintain great hygiene, and then what was the other one? It was hygiene. It was another one you asked
Oh,
me to
I
add.
want nutrition. That's my favorite. But
Okay. Yes, I'll put that
yeah,
on there. That's good.
I'm trying to hold my phone. I'm sorry.
You good.
And then it's getting dark outside, so I'm like, okay, where's the light? Let me make sure I face the light so I don't end up being a ghost on the screen.
Nutrition is very, very important. All right, so let me show you where we at right now in terms of our key points.
And I do want to say, Frank, this is one reason that I really respect your stream, because coming with receipts, it
Mhm.
means we cannot just say what we want, or I mean what we think or what we heard in one place. The same way you were like, let's not take this particular video because I'm focusing on the masks right now. We don't want to confuse people. They're here to know whether or not the mask is effective, whether or
Mhm.
not they should strongly consider a vaccine, whether or not they should need it. So I do love this platform for that reason, because it will help to calm down that confusion in between,
Thank you.
so that way. I don't know if you want to add bodysuits or maybe an option to as a key point, but
You know what? I'm gonna go through, and I'm not, and you're welcome to stay as long as you want. You may have to go. I don't know. I don't want to hold you if you're trying to get somewhere. But I'm going to go through and continue here. We had just a couple. Patrice Garner comes in, and I would love to have her come in. Patrice? Are you backstage, or have you? Maybe you want the link. Let's see here, because I see here it's saying you have a testimony on this subject. We definitely want to hear all testimonies.
and Frank, speaking of testimonies, when I say I've taken care of people with COVID, I had someone that had that gasping breath they talked about, because it presents differently for everybody. Some people don't even know they have it until they lose their taste and smell. Some people just felt tired or what have you. I had somebody that they said that she had it, and she had that gasping for breath situation. And 15 minutes later, after I had finished chest PT with her and breathing exercises, she was laughing again, and she was like, wow, wait a minute. I couldn't even talk a minute ago. Now I can just laugh. And so that's where I'm saying I try not to work off of beliefs as much as I try to work off of what do I know here. Hey, Patrice.
And personal experience. No, I hear you. And that is huge, having the personal experience. I don't have personal experience. And so you're definitely bringing an extraordinarily valuable perspective that we need to make sure that we keep into consideration. And so I just unmuted Patrice. Patrice,
I'm going to mute.
Okay.
Hi,
Welcome.
Hi, sweet. How are you guys doing?
Doing great. You see, we're in the thick of it. We going back and forth. We all are engaged. We're learning together. This is what this channel is all about. And I'm actually blessed to be able to have people like Blind Guy and yourself, and people coming in saying who can actually come in and present the cases and still, bring it with love and not have things devolve into, foolishness and silliness. We don't get this with this family. So we appreciate you.
Thank you for having me up on the panel. Well, I have a testimony personally that I want to give my experience. I just got over the Delta. Okay. I have been, I was so almost obsessed with the whole thing when COVID first hit, right? I literally used to travel with a hazmat suit on. I would wear the hazmat on the plane. I had the gloves. I had the safety glasses. I had the mask. I was on it. I kept wipes on me the whole night when I traveled, right? Because I had to travel from COVID because my son had got sick back home in Chicago, and I never caught COVID. And I went to the doctor, went to see my immune specialist doctor, because I have allergies and I have to take seasonal shots. And he says to me that I would not be a great candidate for the vaccine, which I was not going to do anyway, because I never took the flu shots. I never did that vaccine stuff. So, I had to do it when I was a kid, but I was a kid. I didn't have no control over that. That was my parents' decision. But I don't believe in personally myself of the flu shots and all of that. So I would just do the safety precautions, So I go and visit Las Vegas, and I'm visiting with friends. And I come from off stage. I was singing, come off stage. So I can't wear a mask while I'm singing. I get off the stage, and I don't have time to put my mask on. And a friend rushes up to me that hasn't seen me in over a year, since before COVID. And he rushes up to me to hug me. Now I'm unprotected. And I did not know he had the Delta virus. And that's how I caught it. Literally 5-minute conversation with him before I can get to my mask to cover my face back up. That's how I caught it. Now, I'm not vaccinated. I didn't take any vaccinations. And for a year and a half, I have been eating right. and I have been taking immune system boosters, natural immune system boosters. I would take lysine, zinc, the omega-3s, the vitamin C, all that stuff. I've been on that profusely for a year, over a year since COVID. I catch the Delta. I have like chills, little fever, scratchy throat. So I thought I was just literally at first was catching just like a common cold or something. And then a little later, I caught the fever. So I said, no, it's a little bit more. Let me go to the doctor. I went, took the test. It came back negative. He says, oh, you may be too early, because it was literally 2 days after I saw my friend.
Mhm.
And so I waited 2 more days and I went back, took the test, and it was positive for the Delta, that I had the Delta. I never got deadly, like sick. I never thought I was going to die. I never none of that. I do not have any underlying health conditions, none, 0. I have none. I eat right, and I was taking these immune system boosters and all of that. So one night I got a little bit sicker than usual, and I couldn't breathe as much. So I go to the emergency room, and he says my oxygen levels was down a little bit. He says, but we're going to pump these fluids in you. We're going to give you Tylenol to bring your fever down. He says, he said 3 people just came in here, and we have to keep them. He says, I don't know what you're doing.
By what day? What day was that? Just, I'm trying to track it in my mind. Around what day was that when you went in within the sickness that you had to actually go in for the oxygen and all that?
This was, I want to say early part of this month, early.
No, I'm sorry. I mean, like what day? Like day 4, day 5, day 6, day 7. Like,
this was probably 5 days after.
Okay.
I started feeling when I saw my friend 2 days later, I started getting the symptoms like scratchy throat and all of that. That was 2 days later.
Okay.
And then I tested negative, and I waited another 2 days and went back and got tested again. And then that test was positive.
Right.
And then like 4 days later, I started feeling like really bad, like the cough and like a little bit like I couldn't breathe. So I went to the emergency room. He said my oxygen level was down a little bit, but they did a chest x-ray. They pumped me with, fluids to get my body going. I didn't have to be on an oxygen machine, none of that. I took the Tylenol to break the fever. They took blood tests. Everything came back fine. He says, I don't know what you're doing. He said, but your immune system is as strong as a person that would have taken the vaccine. Because he asked me, did I take it? I said, no, I'm not. I didn't take it, and I'm not taking it. He says, oh, even after you get it, you're not. I said, no, why? I said, because it's not going to prevent me from catching COVID. I said, it's only going to.
Patrice, okay, so far, I'm glad you came on here, because I might be able to move my nutrition key point higher on the scale, but keep going, Patrice.
Yes, when I tell you I'm a berries and nuts and vegetable eater, like salads, like I do all of that. And on top of that, the immune boosters that I was taking was helping as well. And I told you, when they did my blood work and he came back, he says, your immune system is strong as if you've taken the vaccine. And I said, I didn't take the vaccine, and I'm not going to take the vaccine. And he says, I don't. Sure.
Can I ask you a quick question? Do you eat, and this is the reason why I asked, because I stopped eating meat. Some people think I'm an advocate for people to not eat meat. But when you said I'm a fruit and berry type of eater, that's what I just want people. If you're eating meat, if you're eating cheese, if you're eating butter, if you're eating eggs, just increase the stuff that you're not eating, like the fruits, vegetables, and all of that. So my question for you is, do you eat meat, eggs, butter, cheese, and all of those things too?
I do, but very little, in moderation. And I don't eat pork at all. I haven't eaten pork in over 30 years. I took pork out of my diet like 30 years ago. And like you said, moderation is everything. I may eat steak maybe once a year, maybe something like that. I don't eat a lot of meat. I am a salad, fruits, vegetable type of person. Plus, on top of that, taking those vitamins and immune boosters for over a year heightened my immune system up to the level of a person that had taken the vaccine shots, because he literally thought I was. That's how strong he said my immune system was. So I said, why would I've had COVID now. I caught the Delta. I'm still on my vitamins. I still eat the same. Why would I take the vaccine if if
Yeah.
the vaccine is not going to stop me from catching COVID? It's going to lessen the symptoms. That's what the vaccine does. If you catch it, because there's people getting it that has been vaccinated,
Right.
all it does is lessens the symptoms of it. That's it. It don't prevent you from catching COVID. And that's where I think some of the confusion is happening.
Yeah.
Well, let me just add to that. The research, and I can pull it up if you want me to pull the receipts, is that like it's not a guarantee, but that like it's not like saying that under no circumstances will it prevent you. It's just that it's possible to have breakthrough cases, and if you were to get a breakthrough case, then it almost certainly keeps you from having to go to the hospital. That's the way I've heard it phrased. Would you find that to be inaccurate?
Well, this is the thing. My friend that gave me the Delta, he had the vaccine,
Mhm.
right? And had Delta and didn't know it. Now, he's an older man, so I'm pretty sure he may have some underlying health conditions. He had to be hospitalized, and he had the vaccine.
Mhm.
And he was the person that gave it to me. He actually gave it to me and 4 other people that night.
Right.
So
for me, I would call that a breakthrough case.
yeah,
Like, just because he caught it doesn't mean that everybody is still going to catch it if you have it. It's just that he was one of these people that, having gotten a vaccine at whatever time, still managed to get COVID. But you're saying that he still had to go to the hospital anyway, right?
yeah. I'm thinking because he's an older man, he probably more than likely probably have some underlying health conditions. So even though he was vaccinated and still spreading it, he had to be hospitalized, and I didn't. That's the difference. Even when I went to the emergency room, I still got released, and there was 3 other people that came in there that had COVID behind me, and all 3 of them were hospitalized. So I do truly feel in my heart that a proper diet and taking the proper immune boosters over a period of time, I really do believe that helped me. And not having no underlying health conditions. I will add that in.
Well,
I believe that all of that plays a part of it.
I'm looking for something that I can hype up Blind Guy, his wife with. I'm gonna find a nice sound effect in a minute. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I'm glad to hear it, Patrice, because I do agree with Frank that of course everybody's not just going to put down the soda and pick up some pH balanced water, alkaline water.
Alkaline water.
Right.
That's what I drink. Yeah.
So we know that everybody's not just going to put that down and pick that up because they heard that boosting your immune system. But I guess I'm a big proponent of give people solutions, because right now there's a really, really, really big push for shots and masks, and like average people didn't know what PPE was until this came out. Now PPE, I don't know if they weren't making enough sales at the hospital, but it's like everybody knows what PPE is now, and everybody's trying to get their hands on some, trying to get a hold of it. So what I'm saying is, okay, well, while you have, and this is where Frank is going to say, I'm throwing out a bunch of stuff, but this is where I feel like, where you have Bill Gates over here buying up all the farmland while we're distracted with masks, we're going to then realize, wait, number 4, nutrition and supplements should have been higher on the list. But now now that's being controlled too. Now that we're being overpriced and overcharged for that, or we have to do something else in order to get access to the good nutrition that was already here from the beginning. So that's why, I'm like, look, let's put this stuff up higher. But I'm sorry, Frank, go ahead.
No, you good. I'm gonna let you get away with it. I ain't saying nothing. We good. We good. What's cool here is that we're getting this information actually from someone who had to deal with it in Laquita, and then with Patrice, who actually had it herself in her story.
I had it too.
Oh, you had it too?
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Me and Corey, we had it too. I was one of those people that I lost my sense of taste and smell, but I was chilling, straight driving, cooking, living.
Okay.
And
Yep.
Corey was like, he felt like a dog one of those days, but no, we were still like, okay, we got to get this vitamin D. Let's take a walk. Are we in other people's faces? No, because everybody else was inside anyways. Are we interacting with folks? Nope. But yeah, I had it too. That's what I was
Had it
saying.
too.
I'm talking from a person that has had it and has helped several people who had it as well.
Okay.
I just actually lost a friend of mine back in, he's an entertainer back in Las Vegas. He had only taken one shot. He hadn't got the other shot, but he ended up passing away. And I do believe that he had underlying health condition, and he wasn't, he was overweight, so he wasn't in the best health condition. I truly believe that plays a part when you're not eating healthy and not taking care of yourself, body wise. And he had only gotten one of the shots. So he lost his life.
My apologies and condolences for you.
Yeah, I'm so sorry to hear that. Yeah, it's a tragedy whenever we hear that. It's happening way too much. So you see here, I've pulled up someone by the name of Private Nobody. I don't know who that is, but Private Nobody wants to join in. So please jump in wherever you see fit.
Okay. Excuse me. I'm from TLA. I only came up once on TLA. Been in the chats, not too often. I observe mostly.
Well, welcome. I'm glad you decided to jump in.
Well, this is a passionate subject of mine. I've been studying it for about 2 years when it first started out, listening to the various sources. It is unfortunate that in this country, we're not getting the real deal with regards to information, which is highly controlled.
Yes, I would agree with that.
On social media, they're cracking down. This whole thing, it is not as it appears to be. And I'm speaking from doctors from around the world and even some from here in the United States. It's a really bad ruse that they have put over on the people, starting from the test. The invention.
I think I know where you're going. So I'm going to ask you if you have receipts later on. I want you to speak your piece.
Oh my God, I don't have them currently available right now, but I got drives full of information, and I can send it to you personally.
Okay, well, I want you to speak your piece, and we'll see what you had to bring, sir. I want to hear you.
The PCR test, the inventor of the thing that mysteriously died when this first started out, stated that test is not designed to test for viruses. Let's keep that in mind. That's number one.
Who's the person? Who said that? Do you know the name?
Oh, I forget his name offhand.
So there's no way for me to jump online.
Yes, you can jump online and ask for the inventor of the PCR test.
Okay, got it. Keep going.
Okay, that's common knowledge.
Okay.
All right,
number two. Probably say money grab. When you pull it up, it's gonna say this is a money grabber. But okay, go ahead. Number two.
Dr. Cowan, Dr. Kaufman, Tenpenny, and others have chimed in on this also. That the alleged virus has never been isolated.
I've seen that too, but go ahead.
Okay. It is unfortunate that when they mention cases are not representative of actual full-blown COVID-19, whatever that may be. Now, keep
All
in
right,
mind,
so let's stop here for a second.
no, let me
Because
just stop real quick because I don't want this to be misconstrued.
Okay.
Because a lot of times when I get to that point, people say, "Oh, so you don't believe COVID-19 exists?"
Well, no, I was going back to your first one because I've got a chance to see something on the screen here if you see it, and I was going to ask you about it, but I want you to finish your point, and we can go back to it.
Okay. Reuters is not a good source. That's part of the establishment. It's unfortunate that a lot of the major sources that we are relying on are part of the whole scheme of things. It's
Okay, so what source should I use?
Okay.
Because I want to go there now.
Okay.
I want to go to your trusted source.
And there are many of them. It's not just one.
Okay, just give me one.
Well, I go by doctors that's been in this field.
Okay, well,
Okay, like
take me somewhere where I can go and confirm what you're saying so that I can have reason to believe what you're about to tell me.
Okay, the one that
And I want to believe you, but I want to have reasons for believing you. You understand where I'm going?
I'm in the legal profession over 30 years, so I understand that point exactly. You don't go by assumptions, but by facts. Okay. Dr. David Martin, you can pull him up on excellent researcher, and he goes back and pull up all the patents surrounding COVID-19. Gates, Fauci, CDC, Soros, and others are all tied into all patents surrounding COVID-19.
I heard that.
Oh, no, it's true. And he cites all the patent numbers and everything. So you could follow up on that. That's not at issue. And that's been kept from the people overall. Because when you go down to the common denominator in all of this, it goes down to the patents. And who owns the patent? This is a matter of public record. See, when it's like when if I was dealing with a criminal case or a simple, say a criminal case, I always try to go all the way back to the beginning and find out if there's any errors in the case at that point, because if you find any critical errors in the beginning, the fruit of the poisonous tree doctrine comes into play. Because if it's poison at the beginning, everything else will be poisonous. And that's the way you look at it in law. Okay, using my research skills in law, I applied it here. I wanted to go all the way back to the beginning. And the beginning starts with the patents. And the patents tends to show intent. This is a side that people have not seen because it's being scrubbed, even from online.
All right. So how does the patents indicate that that's where the beginning starts? Explain that part to me.
They probably selling masks, but no, go ahead. I'm gonna let you go private about it.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
No, I wanted, because you said in the beginning you need to go back to the beginning, and the beginning starts with the patents. That was the assertion you just made. So I'm wondering why you make that assertion.
Because COVID-19 was patented. And if it was patented, that means
Okay.
it was created.
So COVID-19, the virus itself, you're saying was patented, correct?
Yes.
All right. So show me where that is. Show me.
The project. Okay. To show you, I can do. I didn't know this would be the subject. I just chimed in. But if I knew I was going to do a show, I would have all these.
Yeah, maybe we can come back on it, because this is what I'm getting at. This is what I kind of mentioned, and this is what the substance of my channel is going to be. When we make assertions, we need to basically show the receipts. You need to be able to prove what you're saying, or at least not prove what you're saying, but show us why you're saying what you're saying.
Oh, I can do that. That's not
Right.
a problem.
And that way I can follow along, and then we all can go somewhere. What I don't want.
If you're open to that, because
absolutely.
some channels you go into, they kind of shy away because they
No, this channel is about pursuing the truth. I'm going to
So
pursue it.
I'm going to warn you.
Uh-huh.
Like I say, I've been involved over 30 years in the legal and the health profession. I even have a group where it's a PMA, a private membership association, because we do things privately. And part of our mission is alternative health. So these two issues that we're speaking of, I'm deeply involved with, have been for years. So this is not new to me. And the issues about vaccines in general, I've been involved in that over the years because it doesn't have a credible history.
Okay, so it should be really easy for you to show me
Yes,
whatever it is I need to. So that's what we're getting at.
Okay.
So I appreciate you establishing your history and credibility, and I accept it and receive it. I just want you to be able to when you give us an assertion, point to why you made that assertion if there's a question about it. And so
I can even create a brief for you and go from the top to the bottom into where we at now. That's how far I've been, or how steadfastly pinned to the issue I have been.
Okay. Okay.
So you said
fine.
Dr. David, he said Dr. David Martin. We can Google him now, or
Yes, yes. Yeah, he's
Okay.
what should he?
he's on YouTube and Odyssey.
He's on YouTube?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Is there any?
A lot of the content creators now are going to BitChute, Brighton, Odyssey, Rumble. You'll find information from high-level medical professionals on those realms because YouTube kicked them off. I'm surprised David Martin is still there, though.
Okay, I'm going to share what I see, and then I'm going to get you to help me out with who, picking out what I need to see here. All right, so remind me why we're chasing down David Martin. Is it because he's the person who's behind one of the patents, or he worked with the whole patent issue?
He's been one that has been exposing a lot of things that's been going on over the years, not just this issue. And
So he's been exposing. We're going to him because we're gonna now listen to him expose whatever the truths are that are not in the mainstream media. Correct?
yes,
Okay. All right. Can you see my screen?
yes.
All right. I don't know if that's big enough or not. Should I scroll up or down? Help me with what I need to do.
Maybe
here.
up. Maybe up a little bit.
Okay.
The guy with the bow tie.
Oh, this is him with the bow tie?
Yes, that's him.
Okay.
Oh, I've seen him before. Okay.
Okay, so he's in this first one, he's talking about GE. I guess I need to look him up in relation to COVID-19. All right. So if you can see that, I don't know if it's too small or if you're good, but if you can let me know which one you want us to check out.
Okay, let me see here. Oh, he got so much online now. Go to David Martin World.
David Martin World, is that a channel?
That's his channel.
Okay. Let me look it up. This is what's beautiful about, I'm going there now. This is what's beautiful about an open-ended show like this, where, as long as we don't want to go, crazy with the time, but we have the ability to just take a little bit of time to chase down, and verify assertions and kind of, really explain why we feel the way that we feel, so that in a dispassionate, objective way, we can kind of make some decisions on whether or not we want to go with information that's being presented to us. It's hugely important.
And had I known that this would have been going down that line, I would have been much prepared.
Okay, no worries. I'm not going to fault you for your first time on here. I appreciate it. You kind of know how I roll now. So in the future, I want you to be ready. in the
Can I say
future.
this real quick?
Yeah, absolutely.
Private Nobody, I had to pull over. I was listening to the broadcast. I was telling my kids what to type, and I was like, wait, I got to pull over and send Frank some information because I cannot. Because like you said, look, I got to come with my receipts. But I love it. I love it. And I love your input, Private Nobody. I did want to say that as well because I've learned about Dr. David Martin, and this is another one I didn't know about. So thank you.
Yeah, me as well. I mean, I appreciate having the different dialogue too, and thank you, Frank, for inviting me up on the panel because I think that people need to be able to tell real life stories that have had it and their experience with it. It's like you and I who are not vaccinated and caught it, and what our journey was with that, as well as somebody that caught it and have been vaccinated and what their journey is behind after they get the vaccination. I think it's good to definitely have these different open dialogues, but because out here, like it's crazy out here with the way people are going at each other's like heads, like it's literally people are getting into fights about this stuff, like
Exactly.
physical fights about this stuff. It's crazy, and arguments like
Yes.
Right.
And the crazy part is that this was allegedly done by design. If you go back to papers from the Rockefellers from the 80s, the 90s, even in the 2000s, this was all orchestrated. This is a matter of public record. And as you
Then
learn,
bring it. Because you're making it hard for it. I'm just being real with you. I know you're a good brother. When we start going there, you make it hard for me personally to get on that train.
what I'll do for you to make it easier for you to marshal to the people on your show, because if we start unloading this information live, they're going to take you down.
yeah.
They're going to take you down.
Yep.
And
Okay,
it's-
well,
Yeah, I think if it leads towards a sway of like you're trying to influence, the masses to go this way or that way, then that's where I think where the problem's going to come in.
Exactly. And I've already experienced it with other people. So that's why I'm cautious on even what I say and certain names that I can give, because just a name will trigger and take down your site. So I'm being considerate.
Okay.
Being specific as you may like it to be, but I can send it to you by email and then you can go over it from there. And then you make the decision how you want to marshal the information out to your people.
Okay, cool. All right. So what we'll do is just go ahead, brother, and just kind of speak your piece on what you feel is going on with the COVID-19, this whole thing. And I will personally, as you see here, kind of place a caveat that this is just you bringing your perspective from the information that you've gathered and that you truly believe. And we'll put it there for now.
Another guy that you can look at is Thomas Cowan, Dr. Thomas Cowan, Andrew Kaufman, who literally gave up his practice for the truth because he started speaking the truth. The association objected. He stood on his truth. They revoked his license.
I think I saw him on social media talking about that.
Yes. And he was out front with it in the beginning, because he was in New York, and when New York had exploded, and he started researching, talking with other doctors, and things were not adding up. And so that caused him to dig deeper. And he found out it's like what they're telling us is not what it is. And I'll leave it at that for now, but I'll get the information out to you. I won't try to sway anybody either way without receipts. So I'll send you the receipts, and you take the initiative as to whether you want to go forward or not, knowing that if you do, what they're going to do.
Gotcha.
Okay?
I'm with you. Yeah, I think that's very wise, brother. Very wise. Appreciate it. I think his wife want to jump in.
I want to ask Private Nobody about the nutrition part. Like, Does he think immune systems and nutrition are at least a good part of the conversation?
Okay, without question, 100% on board. I'm into it myself. The key to health is keeping your immune system strong so that it can fight your wars. Nobody's talking about, so like vitamin D, zinc, and all of those things, yes, they help. What you put into your body is very important because you are who you eat. And most of the people that are succumbing to whatever it is, and there's some even speculating that COVID is nothing more than the flu because flu just flew off the map. You look at flu numbers now, it's almost zero.
Yeah, they went down with the with pneumonia because they just put them all under a different blanket. But we're not going to talk about that because we don't have receipts.
We can. I mean, my question, while I have everybody here, so at what point do we say that the science is legit? Because it sounds like what I'm getting is the science, what I would call the science. Sounds like what I'm seem to be getting here is that, hey, the science, what we're getting is a part of the establishment. There's an objective. There's some stuff, a whole lot of stuff about this that we're just being lied to about. That's
the nail on the head. Because when I research researchers, one of the things you do is you trace the money. Who are they being paid by? Then I go from there. Because often the science that they're giving us publicly, the people that are speaking are paid by them. Whether they're part of Big Pharma, part of the news media, part of politics. But the scientists that I've been researching around the world, not just the United States, around the world, most of them are not plugged in. They give a different story. So you got the story.
I would say I would have to agree with that because I've been, and that's why I made the choices that I made to not even get caught up in the rhetoric of that, because when I start researching and seeing that the numbers are being skewed, they're not correct, even with the amount of deaths for the people that have taken the jabs. You understand? Like media is hyping it, and there's certain people behind it that has an agenda that is pushing this scenario on us, like really pushing it. And I feel even pushing it more to the Black communities. And it just took me back to the times of the Tuskegee experiment, right? And if these vaccinations came out so fast, they weren't FDA approved. All those things triggered for me, and with my immune system already, and I wasn't a good candidate to even have it anyway. It was amazing to me that it was still trying to be forced on me, even though I told them that my allergist said I wasn't a good candidate for it. So these are things that just raise up my flags, raise red flags for me. And I'm sitting here saying, like, look, I have it. I've gotten over it. I was told that my immune system was strong. So why should I get it? Why should I get the jabs? Why should I get the jabs?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, why are you still pushing that on me when I've told my scenario medically to a doctor? Like, I didn't get that.
Can I add one quick sentence there?
Yes. Now, just to let you know, right after that, I'm going to show us 2 minutes of something, and I want you all to respond to it and explain what you just saw. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to add that Private Nobody and Patrice, y'all have come to the rescue, because I did start with, I started with some of that information about, I was looking at the international news, and I was looking at how other people can be coerced, and I just sounded like a crazy person, but thank y'all. That's all.
Okay, so on that note, let's do this. Let's have everybody, all of us, and then the people in the chat, let's all watch 2 minutes of something together. And on the back end of it, I'm going to ask a a very direct question that I hope to get everybody's response to.
Okay.
All right, so let me play. And
Black people entering into American healthcare systems are more likely to receive disparate healthcare than our white counterparts. We are more likely to be taken care of in healthcare systems that are underfunded, under-resourced, don't have access to experimental therapies, which, you know, for anybody who does not yet know, when you enter into a hospital setting for COVID-19 infection, the therapies that you get are considered experimental. They're emergency use authorized, right? So for everybody who's running around screaming they're not getting a vaccination because the vaccine's not FDA approved, or because the vaccines are experimental and they don't want to get experimented on, you know, it's the same guidance that we have for the treatments that we're using for COVID-19 infections. So let's just get that out of the way. We as a people, we're more likely to be overweight or obese for cultural reasons, for socioeconomic reasons, because of living in food deserts and things like that. We are more likely to have the comorbid conditions that increase our risk to be hospitalized and to die of COVID-19. High blood pressure, diabetes, asthma. We live in areas of the country where the air quality is poorer, and that has contributed to adverse outcomes from COVID-19. So while our white counterparts were in hospitals where when they went on the ventilator and died at rates of 15 and 20% on the high end, when Black folks and brown folks and indigenous folks went into the hospital in the earliest parts of the COVID-19 pandemic, they died at rates as high as 88%, okay? And so I say it all the time, I use me as an example. I, as a woman in a Black body, have zero interest in getting infected with COVID-19, going in the hospital and expecting the people there who are going to give me biased care, who's going to give me disparate care, who may not fight like hell to keep my Black ass alive. I'm not placing myself in their hands and hoping that I come out on the other side of it alive. You know, I've seen what it looks like for someone who's hospitalized on a ventilator for 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, things that we would never ever consider doing in the past to keep somebody alive, and they come out paralyzed, they come out with loss of organ functions, come out with, you know, cognitive dysfunction, inability to think, inability to breathe on oxygen, inability to work. And yet we will go out into the world and, you know, jump outside of our lanes, as was said, speak about things we have no idea about, and not respect the consequences of these decisions and these lies that we're spreading. Black folks cannot afford to be a part of this whole anti-vax conversation and this anti-mask BS. We want cake, we want ice cream, we want sprinkles, we want whipped cream, we want a cherry on top. And the reality is we can't have all of that. Under the best of circumstances, we're still going to die more than our white counterparts. So we have to do everything possible to protect ourselves. So if you don't want to wear a mask, maybe you should stay home. If you don't want to get a vaccine, then maybe you should keep a mask on and stay home. But we can't be in a position where we're telling people, don't wear a mask, come out, be in the crowd, eat at the restaurant, smile at the cute chick, and spread some COVID virus and not worry about the consequences. Because running around with no mask, unvaccinated, doing what we want to do is the equivalent of putting a blindfold on, taking a loaded gun, and just aiming. And at some point, you're just going to hit somebody. And we have, like you said, we have to live with the consequences of the things that we said. We have to live with the consequences of our actions. The stakes are incredibly high. Life is on the line, and Black folks and brown folks and indigenous folks are going to be more disproportionately impacted by this in the short term and in the long term. And then we're kidding ourselves if we think we can play the same games that our privileged counterparts get to play. We just can't.
Okay, I'm gonna pause it there. I'm gonna go back. I'm not playing anything. I'm just gonna go back to where we see who she is. All right.
The doctor.
Alexia M. Gaffney, MD, infectious disease specialist is what she's been the moniker she's been given here. So my question to all of you on the panel, and then I'm sure I'm going to get some stuff here in the chats, is okay, you just heard what she had to say. Does she know what she's talking about? Is she paid off? What's the deal here? What's going on with what she's saying? What do you think about her perspective? And on this, I'm sure you all will have something to say. So hang on. You know what I'm about to. Some of you know what's coming.
That courtesy clock. Hurry
Courtesy
up, Private
clock.
Nobody. Get your thoughts together. It's a countdown.
And you know it. I'm getting ready now to bring in the courtesy clock, and I'm gonna have. I want to be generous at the beginning and give each of you 2 minutes to speak on it. And whoever wants to go first, all good. So you go ahead and start. I'll get the courtesy clock while you're going.
Private Nobody, I saw you were firing up. Go ahead.
Oh no, I said I'll let the ladies go first.
Okay, well, I'll speak. Let me go and get mine out. Okay, so I was that person that, like I said, I'm for the mask. I never was not for the mask. I'm for whatever you feel you need to do as a human being, what you need to do to keep yourself and your family safe. However, I am also for my rights, my civil rights. I don't feel like no one should tell me that I need to stay in a house because I'm not vaccinated. Like that's where I feel, where there is a dictatorship that I feel that is coming. So for me, I wear my mask when I go out. I follow the rules of business owners and private sector owners that say, hey, if you want to do businesses here, if you want to purchase, if you want to eat in here, you have to wear your mask. If you come to my house, you have to wear your mask, whatever. I follow those rules. So I'm not against the mask. I'm against the ones that's trying to force my right to what I choose to do with my body. I agree with her that African Americans are the most defranchised when it comes to health, and we suffer the most with the underlying health issues. I agree with that. But as my sister above me was saying, we need to do better in the Black community when it comes to eating right, exercising, taking vitamins, things of that nature to keep ourselves healthier. So with that being said, I am for everything that she said. I don't force nobody's right to not wear a mask or wear a mask, to take the vac or not. I'm not arguing. That's not my point. I'm not arguing with nobody's right as a citizen in the United States of America. What I want is for my right to choose to be my right to choose. If I choose to not get the jabs, that's my right to choose that. If you choose to get the jabs, that's your right to do that. I'm not taking that away. I agree with everything she said, except for when it came to her telling me that if I don't get the jabs, I need to stay in the house. That part right there.
Okay.
And I'm done. I think I did good, didn't I?
Yeah, you did. You respected the courtesy clock. You helping keep the courtesy clock undefeated. Who's next?
Okay, I'd like to go next because if you can go back to the comments, not right this second, but the comments that you put up. First, I want to agree with, let me know when my time starts. I'll let you, okay. So I want to first agree with what Patrice is saying. We're not the ones with it, giving it to other folks. It's the people that got, like the person that gave it to her. I think Patrice said that, you just leave that comment there, please. I think what Patrice said is that that person had gotten the vaccine already and was given and had given her the Delta variant. So that's part of where we're like, look, we're fine with wearing masks, but don't tell us to stay home. We're not the ones giving it. It's the people with the Delta, who have been vaccinated, who are giving it. So that is on one of those videos, but I ain't gonna talk about that right now. I want to talk about what this person is saying. Richard Nixon, I'm right along with them. The doctor is ignoring the fact that you can spread COVID with the jab. That's what happened in Patrice's case. That's been proven. Unique View, not Unique View, My Vivid Life, her comment was exactly what my comment has been. And people just think I'm a health nut, but it's like, instead of saying, oh, y'all know us Black folks is messed up, you're the doctor, you need to give us some other solutions other than take this shot. Take this apple. Doesn't that apple a day still keep you away? MD Miss I forget her name, Dr. Alexia. So this is where there's another comment that was on there. I know Mrs. T says she is correct. Yeah, the doctor is correct, but she's limited, and she's limiting. And this is where Private Nobody and myself and I think Patrice are like, yeah, it's a money grab. It all comes back to the capitalism of who's patenting this. And again, anti-vaxxer is not the correct term to be used towards people who are against this specific vax. Yeah, it's not just that I'm an anti-vaxxer because I don't want this one or that one. When Biden said we have some vaccines that have not been tested, but we're sending them to Africa, my time is up. Now I'm gonna stop right there.
Okay, all good. Thank you for respecting the courtesy clock, keeping it undefeated. Before I move to Private Nobody, just want to do a shout out real quick to the lead attorney. He is in the house. If I had little horns, I'll be hitting that. So he is 80% of the reason why I'm here. Appreciate it. And why we are having this very, very important and engaging conversation on something that's so important. We're getting all these good perspectives. And I just wanted to give a shout out here to the lead attorney. I appreciate you, brother, for how you are helping this community in every way that you are. Private Nobody, you were so gracious. You gave the ladies the first crack at it. How do you respond to what we just saw? And I'm gonna go ahead and throw 130 seconds on the courtesy clock for you as well.
Unfortunately, the young lady was mixing truths with half-truths. And anybody that comes on rolling are going to lean towards the left. At any rate, I want to start with the fact that what the media has been perpetrating regarding the approval of Pfizer's vaccine is false. You can get the documents right off online from the FDA. It's right there. It's 2 documents, actually. The vaccine that was approved is called Comirnaty, not Pfizer. Once Comirnaty is...
I'm about to beg you to bring the receipts, but keep going.
No, it's how you read the document.
Okay, go ahead.
Most people will not catch. It was a trick. And then several other people came out and actually showed it line by line how it's not approved, because once Comirnaty is approved, which they got 2 weeks to come up with the labeling, then all the emergency use vaccines will be stopped. They won't be able to go anymore. And right now is an issue of liability. They are absorbed of liability under the emergency. But once the emergency is over and Comirnaty is on the market with the labeling, with all the ingredients in it, liability comes in. They don't want the liability. So right now, at this very moment, the emergency is still in effect. It's in effect as long as Comirnaty's labeling comes into effect. So once they reveal the labeling, which they don't want to do because there's so much harmful stuff in it, they don't want the public to know. They're going to continue under the emergency because they're covered under liability. But you have to know what you're reading. See, my background in law allows me to know what I'm reading.
Okay. Yeah, okay. I'm about to take 20 seconds on your next turn.
I got a page full of notes, and I'm not going to get to it because I only got 23 seconds. So I guess I'm done.
Maybe on the next one. Don't worry. You're welcome to stay on the channel. You're going to get another round. I mean, as you see, I've been kind of going through here on the chats to see where people are on it.
Can we answer?
May I? I wanted to answer that lady's question.
Okay, let's do that. Which one?
Merle. It was MERL, Merle W.
Okay, let me see if I can find it real quick. Yeah, I'm glad to.
It was a lady.
Give you this.
Yeah, because I wanted to tell her about what I did for my mom. Now, my mom is elderly. She's over 70 and she has underlying health conditions, but the same immune system boosters and vitamins and things that I took, I ordered some from my mom, and I told her to take them to her doctor and let her doctor take a look at them and make sure first that it's safe for you to take because you have underlying health conditions. And then once he approves what's okay for you to take and not to take, discuss with your doctor at what point, once you start taking these immune system boosters, will you think, how long do you think they will start working in your system specifically, because everybody is different. But take these vitamins or ask your doctor to recommend some immune boosters, because my doctor recommended a immune system booster that helps the upper respiratory specifically, which is where COVID is affected in the upper respiratory. It's called Lysine. He recommended that I take that. And I've been on that for over a year. He recommended himself. So ask your doctor. I would never tell you to take this or that, and it's going to take this long or that long, because everybody is different. My recommendation to you is to speak with your doctor about what you can take as far as vitamins, immune boosters for you. And then you get those and take them and see how long they would work with your immune system to get it boosted. For me personally, with no underlying health conditions at my age, it only took about 2 months before I started really feeling the difference and see the difference. But everybody is different. So I would advise you to definitely go see your physician before you take anything.
Okay, can I add to that? Can you hear me?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. This is something I've been used
for
years and actually help people with AIDS and cancer. It's called chlorine dioxide, also called MMS. I suggest anybody that's interested to go to BitChute and put that in, and a whole list of things will come out, and there's a lot of information there. But I've been using this since about maybe 2015 or 14, because I used it with my sister who had breast cancer. Well, it's known as the strongest pathogen killer known to man. By the way, it just eradicates COVID right away. But with regard,
I might have to go back to the receipts thing. Go ahead. I'm letting you guys go.
Everything that I've told you, and I'm going to replay this back, and I'll give you the information to everything.
Okay.
Not a problem. Remember, I told you I have a private membership association that deals with law and health.
Yes.
So I'm rooted in this.
Okay.
So what happens with that, it is considered one of the best immune boosters out there because it kills pathogen. And by the way, spike proteins, COVID, those are all pathogens, and it kills it quick. Do your research. And so that's what I just wanted to add to that.
Okay, all right, and then we had one more left that wanted to answer. Was it Patrice or was it Blind Guy? Go ahead.
Yes. So if you can keep her comment on there, Adrian's comment, while you change my time, because I hope I got more than 2 seconds.
You want that time.
Okay.
I'll give you 100 seconds. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's fine. As long as I didn't have 10 seconds. So Adrian is saying pretty much what I've been saying the whole time, is that my issue is not with the rules or following the rules, but it's with the propaganda that's happening, which is, oh, okay, now that you all got this, you can just walk around freely. So where I live in Virginia, people are thick as thieves everywhere, restaurants and whatever. And guess who's also out there? Me, because I'm okay with being out there. However, if they mandate a mask or this or that, guess who's also making sure that I comply? Me. But what they aren't telling us is that they're still selling us wings with ranch and whatever, and I'm with Adrian. Can we also promote something else? So what about mullein? Mullein. Anybody can Google it. It's just an herb. It's in cough syrups. So if you have a respiratory condition, if you just Google mullein health benefits, you'll get different sites. But the scientific information is that you'll get that it's effective for tuberculosis, pneumonia, and things of the sort, bronchitis. And so Malayne, instead of taking that though, people would rather have it packaged in Robitussin when they don't know it's in there. They just know Robitussin works. They think it's the other ingredients that are working. So meanwhile, they also just want to take something quick, a pill, a package, an herb. They don't want to exercise and they don't want to take cumulative responsibility. But what I will say is that to answer Merle's question, immediately within a week, you can see results.
Anything you want to add to that? I'll give you a few more seconds on the clock.
Yeah, Physicians Committee, that particular YouTube channel, they address how quickly nutrition can boost your immune system. So I definitely, give that as a resource for change, for personal change. And it's quick, it's easy. They have 30-minute shows. They have doctors, they have other guests, average people that come on the show. It's an interview show. It's not just like a medical journal show.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Frank, may I please say something right quick? The reason why I said about the part about what I feel the government is trying to force and like a dictatorship, as a woman and as an individual that has a right, as a citizen, a right to choose, I feel like the people that are adamant about the vaccinations it's the argument between the non-vax and the vax is that the people that are doing the vaccinations and pushing it is trying to control people that don't want to and tell them what to do with their bodies. Sort of like a woman is like you're trying to take my choice to choose if I want to, say if I get pregnant, my right to choose if I want to keep my baby or not. I feel like that's a dictatorship when the government is trying to mandate and force people to do something which is taking their rights away, their civil rights. And this country is built on this freedom that we should have to choose to do what we want to do with our bodies. And that's to each his own. So I just wanted to say that because that's where my problem is, the rubber meeting the road and the fights against the vaccinated, against the non-vax, and the blame, they shifting the blame on, on each other. So that's where the problem lies for me. Got it.
No, thank you. Thank you for that perspective.
Can I give a quick point on the back of Patrice?
Well, this is what I'm going to do, actually, is I'm going to make a quick comment, and then I'm going to go ahead and give everybody on the panel an opportunity to make final comments, and then I'll end with my final comments on it. What I'll say here is that this is obviously such an important topic that everyone has a stake in, because we're talking about an issue that affects all of our lives, our health, our well-being. And so we have not only my perspective that I've shared at the very beginning, but other guests who have come on who have their own points of view that are, from their perspective, just as powerful as my own. So my thing that I want to make sure that all the viewers and when you watch this and you watch this back, my thing, sort of, I guess you could say advice would be, is to, from my perspective, always verify, like listen to what people have to say and take in their points of view. And however, don't stop there. Feel free to investigate anything that anyone here has to say before you make up your decision about anything. That's including me, that's including everybody else on the panel, and anyone else who wants to say anything in the chat. Use this to, don't necessarily, and I think this might come across as an obvious thing that people wouldn't necessarily have to say, but I want to make sure that I'm clear that this is a channel that pursues truth, and we will go down, I personally will go down every rabbit hole to try to chase it. That's actually part of a personal journey that I made on how I actually found God. But that's another whole subject that we can talk about another time. So I want to say that now, because this conversation and this subject is so nuanced, and I embrace it because it's so nuanced, we see that the conversation is taking us into some places all over that I didn't necessarily anticipate. I came in naively wanting to just talk about masks, and look where we are. So and that's totally fine. What I want to do is respect the panelists who have taken their time to contribute to this show and contribute to you all in the best way they know how, by allowing all of our panelists a final word on what they think, how they feel, maybe whatever their best advice, I'll say, or whatever their best perspective is on how they feel about this. And then I'll finish it off with mine. And then, considering the fact that the stream now is approaching 2 hours, 46 minutes, I think that, you got to call time sometime, right? So we might as well call it after giving everybody kind of an opportunity. As they do that, I'll go through and see if we can, pick up on some of the comments in the chat. Whomever wants to start, I'm willing to give you the floor. And because this is final comments, I'm gonna go ahead and give us the full 180 seconds on the courtesy clock. Who would like to start?
Okay, ladies first.
Well, Private Nobody was going to say something on what, in conclusion of whatever Patrice was saying. So I don't know if you want.
Okay, I'll just do that little snippet and I'll step back.
If you start, you're getting 180 seconds, and that's it.
Okay, not a problem.
Okay, you ready?
Okay. Patrice starts off with an issue that is very, very relevant, and people need to know where they stand. The order of authority in this country and in the world. And I often use this against the tyrannical opposition, government, agencies, and the like. And I let them know that God is number one, man is number two, man creates government, man creates corporations. Man is always over government and corporations unless you agree by contract, agreement, or trust to give them dominance over you. Keep that in mind. God, man, government, corporations. If you know your status and you know where you stand, they have no authority over you. Keep that in mind. The mask, which you started this whole discussion on, I want to bring to people's attention, and it's a matter of public record, and I will send it to you, Frank, regarding Fauci's knowledge of the damaging effects of masks. There was 3 authors on a white paper in which Fauci was an author also, regarding what happened during the 1918 influenza, Spanish flu. What most people don't know, that about 30 million people died from masks, not the flu. Mask kills. What happens is there's bacteria, which you exhaust out of your body, which is no good, is being brought back in. You create bronchial infections. Those bronchial infections killed many people. Mask kills. And Fauci knows it because he wrote about it. I'll send it to you.
Okay.
This was touched on by one of the chat people constantly, and it's a very, very good point, is that the people, well, first let me talk about CV1 and CV2. CV1,
yeah. Go ahead.
I see the time. CV1 is not real. CV2 is real. CV2 is the one that they created. Now, the creation, once it's ingested, gives off spores, the spike proteins, and you become a super spreader. Dr. Vernon Coleman told us about this over a year ago, that this will be a problem. And right now, you don't want to be around those that are vaccinated, because they're breathing out the spike proteins. And if you breathe it in and your immune system is not strong, you're getting it. And you're getting the real one. The first one was fake. The second one is real. I'm done.
Thank you so much for your input. Private Nobody, glad you're here. I'm going to move it to whomever would like to give their final comments, and you're going to get the full 3 minutes. Whoever
I'll
wants
go.
to jump in. Okay,
I'll
go ahead,
go.
Patrice. Mhm.
I just want to say, as someone who has had the Delta variant, and I'm only speaking from my own personal perspective of what I feel that worked for me and what I believe in that worked for me in my body. To each its own. Live and let live is the type of person that I am. Your right to choose should be just that, your right to choose. It has gotten so far off the Richter scale where this situation have divided families, divided friendships, divided co-workers, colleagues. It's in our schools now. And it's such propaganda being pushed that
Amen.
is causing a division in this world. I am a firm believer of my right to choose as an American citizen. I cannot stress that enough. If you are a person that is for the vaccine, push the vaccine, want the vaccine, got your whole family the vaccine, that's beautiful. I'm not going to argue with you about why you got the vaccine and it should be this and God does it. So I don't want the persons that got the vaccine to come at me for not choosing to get the vaccine. And that is where the problem is. I literally argued with my niece who's telling me because I choose not to get it, that I'm going to be the one spreading it to everybody else. When I tell her it's the same for you, if you get it, you still can catch it and still spread it to other people. So we can go around this diameter forever. So let's not let this divide our country the way it is doing. People are literally taking it so personal. And I understand this is a serious matter. But what happened to the respect of a person's right to choose in America? It's the politics, the propaganda that's being pumped by the media, the politicians on up all the way to the president of the United States. And again, my people, my fellow citizens of America, United States of America, I don't want to live under a dictatorship from my government that's starting to tell me, which is to me a HIPAA, a main HIPAA issue, because your immunization is part of your medical records. Now I'm questioning the ethics when it falls up under HIPAA and my rights. I'm getting phone calls from the CDC asking me about, did I take the vaccine? Like literally, they're calling my house. So next they're going to be at your door. Your choice is your choice as an American citizen.
All right. Thank you for respecting the clock. Very, very, very powerful perspective and point of view. It will always be respected here, as you know. And so I appreciate you taking the time to join us and to share that. And you probably have a lot of people in the chat agreeing with you. All right.
Thank you, Frank.
You're so welcome. All right. What you got for us, his wife?
All right, I got something for you, and thank you for going, Patrice, because we had everybody getting back in real quick, so that helped to not have the background noise while we were going. So I know I'm eating up my time, but this has been a great discussion. I do want to say that, and my platform is always, when you know better, do better. So I hope that whoever's watching has found out more about nutrition and their immune system, and how that one thing can help. Not just with COVID, but with chronic illness. It can reverse chronic illness. And I think I can say reverse without saying cure. Like cure, you can't say cure. But anyways, there's so much propaganda about how you can say think one thing helps another thing. And so that's why I'm trying to be careful with that language. But that's really my angle all the way through. So whether or not we wear a mask, when you take off that mask, what are you eating? What air are you breathing? What water are you drinking? What physical movement are you giving your body? When they say don't go outside, if you have a balcony, you can go outside, especially in the sun. That's what's helping us. That's the energy that we need. Where do we find this information? Well, That particular channel I gave you is one place that I always tell people to start with because it's easy to digest. Physicians Committee. I do want to say, Merle W., I hope the information helped you about nutrition. I know that you said thanks for all the information that we gave. Definitely look up Mullein, Mullein, anybody with a respiratory situation, and that's another supplement that you can get off Amazon. Now, the efficacy of the vitamins and nutrients, you do have agencies that question those, like, how do we know that this is good, or whatever? All you can do is what you know to be true. So if somebody has heard that a mask works, that's why I wear one. If somebody has heard that nutrition works, that's why I've been boosting my nutrition. And I just encourage everybody to do the same. That's my spiel. I'm done.
Whoa, okay. 2 minutes gave me a minute here. I might as well see if I can get my comments in these 50 seconds flat. I just want to say that, you know, all of us definitely have our points of view. And so, of course, we have our own skin in the game. I appreciate every one of you for taking the time to share your perspectives. They are definitely varied. They're definitely different. You know, sort of where I'm coming from with mine. I have been vaccinated. I did the research and sort of tracked this as well from my perspective since the beginning as well. I've taken the Pfizer. I do believe in the Pfizer as well as the Moderna. Most of the shots, generally speaking, I tend to believe in them. And I follow it up with the masks as well as the hygiene and nutrition. I do co-sign on that with his wife as well. I think I'm going to leave it there because my 50 seconds is up on the courtesy clock, and I want that to remain undefeated. To all the chat, we appreciate you.
Thank you so much.
You're so welcome. What I'm going to do is we're probably not going to end on this. This probably won't be the last time that we have this conversation. Probably going to come back to it as this continues to go on because we know Delta isn't going anywhere right now. So, you know, you guys know how I roll now. When you come and you say something, Frank Goodness going to ask for receipts. And I only do that as a way to help get us all on the same page in pursuing the truth. So I hope everyone appreciates this conversation. Feel free to go back and look at the stream again, revisit some things. And with that, let's see, this is a pretty good time. And the live is at 2 hours and 58 minutes. Looks like we're going to be right at 3 hours. What an awesome 3 hours this was. What an awesome 3 hours this was. Okay, well, I appreciate the time. You know how I like to end it. I'm going to go to my outro. And if anybody sort of wants to say anything while the outro is playing and leave stuff in the chats, I always leave that open. And with that, I appreciate y'all, and I hope y'all have a great night.
Thank you, Frank.
Thanks, Frank. Thank you, panel, and shout out to the chat.
Yes, shout out to the chat. The lead attorney, we saw you in there. Thank you.
Shout out.
Wow.